Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Here we are again for 2. I started a little earlier than I normally would want to, because I'm just getting all of these different thingy things all situated. And it appears, I don't know what auto start and auto stop would be for a live stream. Weird. But anyway, oh shoot, there's some more things I need to do here. Need to unlink this, pop out the chat. Oh, it looks like I wasn't so ready. Oh well, sorry about this. Okay, that should be better, right? We're doing a part 2, right? Double check, yeah. I don't know why it says 1 watching. Is this being open count as 1? I think it might. But I mean, this being open really counts as 1? Just monitoring, what's going on? Seems a bit weird. But anyway, we seem to be live. Hello. Hello. And let's get into this. So, well, there we are. I don't know if it's pretty small words here, but I think it's all right. Count Dankula. I don't know. He's not right-wing enough. I think I think he was Antifa. As a baby, he was Antifa. He was just really fat and lazy. Just really, 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 really lazy Antifa. And then the big government came in and smacked him upside the head, and then he was like, woo. I was kind of LARPing as a big government guy. Great big fucking hammer and sickle on my chest. I was just a LARPer. I didn't really, now that the government wants me all the way in prison and dead and all the rest of I'm gonna go back to being a libertarian. My God, these dogs. Well, so he became pretty goddamn libertarian, but he's slowly drifting lefty again. He's like he's going to be like the king of the middle, like a Tim Pool or a Sargon of Akkad. So he's really drifting left. He's like, well, yeah, we got to have some welfare. We got to have some of this, and we got to have some of that. We got to have, and then that's just, it's how it all starts, right? But anyway, we're not talking about politics today. We're talking about horror movies. Brie Larson is pretty horrific. Here we go. What do we got here? The history of horror films, 31 Madness reviews combined. Oh, good Lord. The history of horror films. That might be interesting, eh? And you know something? I really appreciate that the subgenre specialists of horror films. Like, there is the big genre, like the thingy thing, whatever it is. Whatever, right? It could be science fiction, comedy, the blah, the blah, the blah, the blah, the blah. Even, and it doesn't have to be movies. It could be anything. It's like, yeah, I do woodworking, but I specifically do tables and chairs. You know, like specific, like specialized zoom, zoom, zoom in, zoom, 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 and then become an absolute, I don't know, pro. I wonder why that did that. Be an absolute pro. Um, oh, be an absolute pro at that subgenre, because you know, like, oh, I do woodworking. That's kind of big, right? It's too big. And the same thing with like something like film and horror and stuff, right? It's too big. I do programming. If that's where you're going to stop the conversation, I'm a gardener. Really, that's it. You just all of the gardens everywhere, every single garden, you do them all, and isn't a farm just a big garden? Aren't you going to narrow down? So, what I'm saying is, when you love a thingy thing, whatever it happens to be, and different people take different pieces, right? Different people take different pieces. Um, and they go down a different road. And Cinemassacre or James Earl, I might have to close the frickin' windows to shut up that my neighbor's dogs. Oh my god. And he's home too. There's no excuse. Maybe he's trying to take a nap. And the dog was bugging him? I don't know, but now the dog is bugging everybody else. Obviously, this is a house that cannot have dogs. And they're not going to learn until it's too late. They should have learned by now. But he caved. This is why you don't listen to your wife and children. You listen a little bit, but you got to know when to say no. Because, you know, like their last dog, it's fucking sad, S-A-D. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not getting into it. But it was B-A-D-S-A-D. Sad, bad, bad, sad. And I'm not joking when I say bad. But it died, obviously. Basically neglected out back in a cage. Right? Really fat, extremely overweight, never went for walks, blah, 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 blah. And then it dies, obviously. It's one of the unhealthiest dogs I've ever seen in my life. And then they get more. They got another one, and then it wouldn't shut up, so they got a second one to hopefully get the first one to shut up, and they don't shut up. So obviously, you people don't know how to do dog, so stop it. Get a cat. Oh, actually, they already got a cat. But it really pisses me off when people have dogs and they're in the backyard and they fucking make everybody in the neighborhood's life a living hell because it fucking won't shut up. Yeah, it's one of the most it's like it's terrorizing your neighbors. That type of noise, right? The fucking barking. It's like terrorism. It's audio terrorism. You know, like a little noisy noise happens, and then it does its due. No big deal. Everybody makes noises. Everybody's gonna cut the grass. Everybody's gonna fix the roof. Everybody's gonna have a dog bark at somebody coming over. The blah 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 blah. You can't demand complete and utter silence out of everyone, but there's You know, the barking dog. I'm sorry, but that is terrorism. Or something. It's something. It's completely inconsiderate, and it's incredibly wrong in all the ways. But whatever. So they probably came and got the dog, brought it back in the house. So what would I do in that position? I would sit the family down. Well, then again, dad is also part of the thing. The dad is the hardest working of the bunch. The kids are starting to get old enough they can take on responsibilities. Mom does have a job, but it's not, you know, super hard work, and she only works across the street. I don't know. Time to sit them down and say, okay, either these dogs get fixed or they go. Fixed or go. A or B. There's no more middles. Fixed or go. Now, what are we going to do? Are we going to fix them? Are we going to sit here all month long and learn how to train dogs and do all of the everything necessary in order to fix them? Or are they going to go? Son, which one? I want to vote last because I'm the youngest. Okay. Wife, which one? A or B? Fix or go? Well, of course. Yeah. I said shut up. A or B. That's all you get to say right now. A or B. I don't want to hear anything else. A or B. Fix or go? Fix. Okay. Eldest daughter, which? Fix or go? Fix. So, they're all going to say fix, right? And they say, okay, you got 1 month. That's all we do in our spare time is figure out how to fix these fucking dogs. And see, the thing is everything is on the internet. You can learn how to to fix all of the whatever. I remember when, I decided to get a pet for the first time. I got cats. I got cats because the idea of following a dog around and picking up their shit. I mean, oh my God, a dog is just not worth it. Now you could say, well, but then there's the freaking cat litter. No, not for me. There's a couple of months. There's maybe 3 months out of the year. And then, the cat door is open. Like in the dead of winter, I have to close the cat door because it's letting too much cold air in. So, but I let them in and out. And so they have a gateway to outside. They have their cat door, and they do their business outside. Anyway, what am I doing? So I really appreciate these people who go down the road in different subgenres of horror. Now, I might not follow them down the road, but I still appreciate understanding it, seeing it, having a little flavor of it, little touch of it. The gore hounds, not so much. That is a section. There's extreme, there's the liney line, and then there's the crossing the line, going too far. And I'm not a fan of going too far because it's no longer fun. Now you're just watching the movie and shocked and in awe and grossed out and horrified and they say that that's what a horror movie is supposed to be for. In a way, I don't know. There's a pornographic terribleness side of horror that can just go too far. I still have not been able to use my brain and my face to articulate exactly what that line is. But I know it when I see it. This isn't fun. It's not a good movie. It's not a fun movie. It's literally, you're just supposed to get off on watching people torture other people. And there's like, I don't know. Once again, I cannot use my brain and my face to articulate what that line is, but we all know it when we see it. But some people love crossing the line. They know the line because all of the people that they talk to say, well, no, that's too much for me. So they see it all over the everything. But I don't like to cross that line. So, but then there's the specialist in the vampire, or the werewolf. Yeah, not too much the mummy. But I guess this image that we've got in my face right now, that's the Phantom of the Opera. I'm sure I've seen the Phantom of the Opera when I was a kid on television. I'm sure my parents put it on, or my dad put it on. I don't think my mom wouldn't watch it.
Welcome to Cinemassacre's Monster Madness. Here we will be covering the basic history of horror films. For our first review, let's go back to the year 1920 with the German expressionist classic, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Okay, so I want to draw your attention to a thingy thing that I have on my website. Under horror movies, right? There's the top horror movies of all time. And I'm in the midst of actually updating it. I've been doing quite a bit of work on it, but I wasn't going to incorporate the updates until I was completely done with another wave of changes. But The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is considered by many the first horror movie. Some say that it's the first movie, but it's not really. George Méliès, I believe this is in France, created a movie called A Terrible Night, and one called The Haunted Castle, The Bewitched Inn, and The Cave of the Demons. Now, these have different titles, because this is the English version of the title. Because these are foreign films, but they're silent. This is back in the, if you go back to the beginning of film, it was basically 1900, right? 1900. That was the technical start of the movie. But the actual start of the movie wasn't really until 1920, which is 100 years. And in my opinion, it only took 100 years for these train wrecks of individuals to destroy their own industry. They're actually destroying the movie. Because you're not going to, now that it's just communist propaganda, right? And like, there's, the level of entertainment in a film has been reduced to mediocre to non-existent. The quality of film is in the fucking toilet. On top of that, it's all communist propaganda. So, so when you look at the today's stuff versus, you go, okay, we're definitely in the toilet. It's, by the way, it's been circling the drain for many years. Decades. My brain says, and it's correct, that the last good decade of solid, good movies was the 80s. That was the last solid decade. The 90s was a mixed bag, and since the year started with the number 2, 2 blank blank blank, 2001, 2000, 2012, whatever, all of those 2000 years, all garbage. It's over. Since the year 2 blank blank blank, Hollywood has been dead. There is no more masterpieces. There's no more amazing brilliance. There's no more goody good, toppy top, perfecty masterpieces made anymore. None. Not out of Hollywood. There might be some somewhere that I've never heard of, and I just have to see it. Whatever. But Hollywood is dead. Not only is it all propaganda now, or just about all propaganda, but it's also terrible. Now, one could say, well, that's what happens when it's all propaganda. And, okay, I get it. Yes, I agree. When you converted your industry into just government propaganda, then yeah, of course, there's no, like, I guess it could be artistic on how you get the I guess there's some art in there as well, like in the, I don't know, the all of the super extreme propaganda, blah blah blah, that you see, right? When you think of all of that stuff, like the big poster of the big Stalin and the hammer and sickle and the gold star and the, or the, the whatever. Think of the, just any propaganda. You think of the Nazi propaganda posters of the Jews that are blah 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 and the blah blah blah. Just the all of that. There's, I guess, artistry at work there too. But unfortunately, it's just artistry for evil. Its intention is communism. But see, the weird thing is the current incarnation of the leftist, they actually believe in this. I guess maybe the other, you get the poor people to think that once they kill all the rich people, then everything will be great. But what is this? All the trannies are gonna kill all the non-trannies, and all the blacks are gonna kill the whites. All the women are gonna kill the men. No, somehow they have to switchy, warpy that back into the class struggle thing. Because who are you going to line up against the wall to shoot them in the back of the head? Somehow the black, tranny, female, I don't know, multi-gendered, dear people, now that you put them at the top, or handicaps as well, I guess, you put them at the top of the totem pole. What? I don't know how that works. Now what? Now that you got them at the top of the totem pole, now what? How are you going to translate that into total, complete control over everything and everyone and all of the thinky and all of the business and all of the economics and all of the everything? See, in actual communism in days gone by, they just said, okay, that person's too rich, kill him. That person's too rich, kill him. And they just kept kill until everybody was like, oh my God, I don't want to die, so I'll do whatever you tell me to do. And that's how the communism happened. There's just so much murder and kill and chaos and blood and heads rolling down the fucking street like bowling balls that, but see, they've all painted themselves as goody two shoes. Oh, we love the trannies. We love the black handicapped tranny lesbians. We love them. They're our favorite people of all. They painted themselves as goody two-shoes people. We're the good guys. Whereas before it was, kill the rich. They've stolen our stuff. I don't know how you're going to turn, the black, lesbian, tranny, handicapped, multi-gendered person into a communist revolution, but I guess maybe, I'm hearing whisperies of the actual communists inside of these Antifa thingy thing orgs, BLMs and all the rest of it. There's whispers of, you do realize that we're not pro-black, we're not pro-gay, we're just, this is how we're going about getting the communism going. We don't really think those things, right? We want the government to control everything, and if you don't do what we tell you to do, we just shoot you in the head. So, God, I can't stop talking about politics. Hopefully I will get out of this. Hopefully I'll be able to shake this off. But, in any case, the cabinet of Dr. Caligari, German, wait, and who's... I'm pretty sure that this guy is French. French. Illusionist and film director. So yeah, technically his isn't it weird how, I betcha back in the day, when he was playing around with the camera, everybody was looking at him going, I don't know why you're playing around with that stupid thing. You're fucking making movies? That's the dumbest thing ever. Nobody cares about movies. Nobody's gonna fucking sit and watch your movies. Movies are stupid. What are you doing? Nobody even has a camera. What are you gonna do with those movies once they're made? And then 100, actually, I don't know, 50 years later, it's like they're the biggest thing ever. Oh my God, cameras and movies and storytelling, movies, that's the best thing, biggest thing ever. Literally 50 years later. But I bet you at the time it was like, Jesus, why are you playing around with that stupid contraption? Nobody cares about it. This crazy kook upstairs that lives upstairs fucking plays around with cameras and tells stories and acts like a fool in front of this device that he calls a camera. So yeah, I was right. He was French. But anyway, this guy is German.
The cabinet contains the sleepwalker Caesar control.
I've never seen this film. See, this is my stucky-uppiness with regards to... This is a silent film. With regards to older stuff. I don't know. Maybe I should watch it and give it a try. Maybe I'll love it. Maybe I won't. I don't know.
Controlled by the mad magician Caligari, who commands him to kill all those he seeks vengeance upon. This theme of a mad doctor or villain taking control of a monster has been recycled countless times throughout horror movies. Also, the monster often falls in love with a girl who he has no business with, and this becomes his downfall. It's the classic Beauty and Beast story used in tons of monster movies, most notably King Kong. So besides being one of the first horror films and having influenced a whole genre, it was also important to film in general for its surreal visuals and cryptic storytelling. The whole movie is told from the point of view of an inmate from an asylum. So not only is the story vague, but everything we see is distorted. Shadows are painted across the floor, things bend at weird angles, windows are anything but square. Watching the movie is like going into a dream world, and up till then, movies usually depicted a setting in reality, but this is fantasy, and that happens to be an important aspect to the horror genre. Still in the early stages of our history of horror films, the year is 1922, the place is Germany, and this is Nosferatu. Nosferatu was one of the first movies to create the signature.
So he goes from, see, there's the Phantom Carriage. But no, I know he's not going to go through every single one. But I'm just saying, I got a lot of this stuff down here. A lot of these movies that are on this list I haven't seen. 1932 was a big year. 31, 32. So 31, 32, what do we have? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Dracula, Frankenstein, Freaks, Island of Lost Souls, Mummy, Vampire, White Zombie. The Invisible Man didn't come until, the Wolfman came much later, 41. I forget which Nosferatu I watched. I think it was the TV show. I was like, see, vampires aren't really my thing. And once you've seen Frankenstein, I don't know, it just doesn't really get me.
Of one of the most classic and recognizable horror movie icons of all time, the vampire. But this isn't just any vampire, this is Dracula. However, unable to get the rights to Dracula from Bram Stoker's widow, director F.W. Murnau changed the character's name to Orlok, though most American prints I've seen still say Dracula. Anyway, this is one of the creepiest old movies you will ever see. From beginning to end, it has this eerie mood that never lets up. With so many contemporary horror films relying on loud noises to scare you, this one has this subtle quietness. And after all, it is a silent film, but that just enhances the atmosphere and it makes you feel like you're in a nightmare. That wicked shadow ascending the staircase, the shape of Dracula coming through the doorway, which just fits his body, these are images that you don't forget. They've all become popular screenshots for decades to come, and perhaps the rest of time. Also, check out Shadow the Vampire. It's a work of fiction, but it takes a look behind the making of Nosferatu, but in which Murnau hires a real vampire to play the part. Well, for all we know, it could have been true. As we've seen, the German horror films of the 1920s were usually based on the supernatural, but the American horror films were mostly about human deformities and often taken from literature, especially the ones from Universal Studios like The Phantom of the Opera.
Human deformities were really big. And don't get me wrong, they're still big today. Like, in a lot of cultures, if the kid comes out like the Elephant Man, they'd just be killed. This is, hey, you don't see a whole lot of deformities in places like the Middle East or Asia or Africa, right? And you don't even really see them a lot in the West, in the first world countries. And it's mostly because they're kind of hidden away. It's a weird thing, because it's natural to be shocked at a really odd appearance. It's why we rubberneck on the highway for a car accident. It's why it is the most perfectly naturally natural thing to seek out, for your eyeballs to go towards the thing that kind of is odd, right? It is the most natural thing to do. Um, it's absolutely completely necessary for survival. For the thingy thing that is standing out, it has to stand, like your eyeballs need to go to it 100%, all the everything. It has to happen. And it's been a part of all of every. It's a huge part of life. Just think of being a cave person, and you're sitting there while your cave husband is off hunting fucking saber-tooth tiger, and you're there with the kids, sweeping up around the fucking cave, or around the fire, let's say, and then you see a rustle in the leaves of the bushes. It catches your eye. Your eyeballs and your brainies go towards it. And then you grab your children, and then you run off to the cave, and then you go, thank God, because that was a fucking, some saber-tooth tiger that wanted to eat my kids. Right? And it's all of the everything. Like it's just, it's a vital, it's an imperatively, it's super mega vital part of life. So your eyes being drawn to odd shaped people, especially when you're young and you see odd. And it could be just a different race. It could be anything. It could be, a deformity. It could be anything. It's just abnormal. Your eyes are drawn to it. But if you were that person, you just got to have some empathy. That's all. That person knows that they look strange or that they look odd or whatever. When I don't know. I remember but there's lots of touching hair. White people touching black hair, black people touching white hair, blah, 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 right? There's a lot of hair touching. And, on one hand, you can say, well, I'm sick of people fucking asking to touch my hair. On the other hand, you could go, well, all they want to do is touch my hair because they've never seen it before and they just want to see what it feels like. No harm done. And I remember 7 years in Tibet with Brad Pitt. The Dalai Lama wanted to touch his golden hair. Brad Pitt's yellow hair. It's a natural thing to want to do. And black people who go to the white spaces, a lot, they see that. Or an Asian going to Africa, that the eyes are, kind of slanted and weird. It's just something that you don't normally see. And it stands out a lot, and you look at it. It's just, I guess just everybody needs to have some empathy on all sides. Realize that, see, I remember it's a side story. I was on the bus, and there was a guy in a wheelchair, and he was getting on the bus, but they had to bring down the lever thing and the ramp. And then he gets on the bus, and as he's getting on, the bus driver turns around to the people in the bus, all of us, and saying, wheelchair coming through. So in other words, if you're sitting in a wheelchair accessible chair, get the fuck out and go move. And the guy in the wheelchair really took mega offense to that. He was like, I'm a person, I just ride around in a wheelchair. I'm not defined by my wheelchair, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I wanted to say something, but I didn't. The bus driver, obviously the government employee, says, I apologize, I meant nothing by it, blah, blah, blah. But you can tell the guy in the wheelchair is just like a rotten individual, a rotten person. It happened to me once. I held the door open for a blind girl, and she was like, I can do my own doors, I know how to do doors. You don't have to hold the fucking doors. And I'm like, this is in the middle of a big city, Toronto. rush hour. I do it for everybody. I do it for a sighted person. Granted, I will admit that I did hold it open another couple of seconds because you were blind, but I mean, I would do it for 2 seconds for anybody. I did it for 4 seconds for you. Big fucking deal. But anyway, I got an earful. I was like, yeah, fuck you, bitch. I just said that to myself, though. But everybody else around, if anybody else heard it, I'm not sure. You know, they would go, yeah, she's the bitch, not me. It's like handicapped people can be assholes too, you know. Anyway, and I was just thinking to myself, By the way, going back to the bus story, the wheelchair on the bus. Just think about it. I already proved the pointy point of the story. But I know you missed it. That guy was sitting at the bus stop waiting for the bus. He wasn't waiting for the bus driver to come along with the bus. So that the guy in the wheelchair was literally the bus driver, the person, the Homo sapien driving the vehicle called a bus. Okay? The person, the bus driver, is irrelevant in the bus. Nobody cares about the bus driver, really. We sit around and we wait at the bus stop for the bus. We don't care about him, we care about his vehicle. Just like the guy in the wheelchair didn't care about him, they cared about the vehicle. It's the same thing with the wheelchair. You want to... It's just the important thing here is the bus. The important thing about him is the wheelchair. It's not like we don't think that there's a bus driver or he's irrelevant. It's not like we don't think that there's somebody in the wheelchair. But he's just an asshole, just being an asshole, right? So, I don't know. It's just have a little empathy on both sides. One of the best YouTube channels for that for me has been SBSK. Special Books for Special Kids. Forget about the books. SBSK, look it up. You have to do it yourself manually because YouTube doesn't like them anymore for some reason. And they're the sweetest, leftiest couple I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, some of those kids that they interview look like monsters. And I'm not joking, like extreme, as extreme as your brain can go. Okay? Just think of the most extreme freak that you would see in a circus. This guy goes around, him and his wife go around and interview kids with disabilities, basically. Extreme to minor to middle, whatever. And some of them look like is Elephant Man material stuff, right? And it's emotional. It's like kids, you know, going through the thing of these things, and it's rough. Or it could be nice. They could just be happy-go-lucky and just have problems and need extra care. You know, but, you know, special needs, they call it, right? Some are really bad and some are fine. Mostly fine. But I think what each of them want is it's okay to be shocked and to look and to do and to go, whoa, what the hell is going on here? Because you have to. It's the most natural thing of all. But hurry up and get over that. Just hurry up and get over that and go, hey, how's it going? Do you like pizza? I like pizza. What's your favorite video game? Quickly just, you know, see it, do it, go there, but then get over it. That's my brain. That's what my brain says about that kind of stuff. Whoa, that's weird. That's strange. I had an acquaintance at work that had no thumb, and he always hid it. And I should have told him to. I said, oh, now that I've seen it, I asked you about it, and you told me what happened. You had your thumb cut off. I forget why. Now, it's a long time ago. I just, whatever. Okay, you have no thumb. Let's just continue. And I never brought it up again. But I noticed that in oftentimes he would hide it with his he'd have his hands crossed in front of him himself a lot, and it was covered. And like I said, I noticed it, and then he told me what happened. I was like, oh, and then moved on. I had a cousin who lost a toe cutting the grass. So just notice it and quickly get over it. Just try to quickly get over it, and then just treat them like a person. Because I'm pretty sure that's what they want. I don't think that they're going to expect you to see them and to think nothing. But
what made this film so great? Well, it had a pretty cool color sequence, but what really made it great, 2 words: Lon Chaney. Aside from being one of the greatest actors of the silent era, he also did his own makeup. Look at that face. The characters Chaney portrayed earned him the nickname Man of 1,000 Faces. His portrayal of the Phantom is the best ever in my opinion because he does so without any spoken dialogue, so it's completely a visual performance. He was an actor truly made for the silent era. After all, his parents were deaf and he mastered the art of communication through body language.
wow. Isn't that something? His parents were deaf. That's the thing, eh? It's just really important to put things into perspective, right? People talk about being victims or this or that. Well, both of my parents are deaf, and then I became the greatest actor of all time, or at least at that time. Right? And just because, mom and dad had problems or had this problem, had this thingy thing, doesn't mean that they can't, go all the way and overcome and love and have a great life and create a kid who goes on to be a superstar. Right? I get tired of people playing the victim. I really do. You're not a victim. Unless you want to be. Which, that's the problem, is everybody wants to be the victim these days. Oh, please, I'm a woman and I'm a victim. I'm black, I'm a victim. I'm gay, I'm a victim. Oh, shut up.
Now that's scary. Look at that maniacal laugh. At first he seems just like a vengeful monster, but as the film progresses, you begin to feel he's just a confused and sad misfit who doesn't know what to do with himself. Underneath that hideous makeup, you can read his facial expressions and sympathize with his character. You can feel his jealousy and rage. Damn, he's pissed.
My friend, sleepaway camp. Are you kidding? Of course I've seen it. Every horror fan has seen Sleepaway Camp. It's it's really weird, but it's considered like there's so much, like the pedophilia in that fucking movie and the homoeroticism and the bare-assed kids and then the fucking penis reveal at the end. Oh my god, it's just, that's a movie that could have only have been made in the 80s. It's so politically incorrect. You know, Darth Vader's dad playing the cook. Oh, it's just so, so weird. Um, yeah. Now, what do I think of it? Um, I both. I think I really like it. I really, really enjoy the movie. It's one of those movies I would say. There you go. It's on Tubi as well. You know, Tubi is free. I don't know if you know about it. TUBI. TubiTV.com. And there's Sleepaway Camp. 1983. So, by the way, I love Shudder, and I just love horror, um, wherever it comes from. But this one is free. Tubi is free, and free is better than expensive. I guess if you've got a lot of got extra money floating around, then um, certainly. Um, I really like Sleepaway Camp. See, it came at a time when I was really, I loved the cabins. I loved camping. I was a Cub Scout. And then Friday the 13th movies were perfect for me. Absolutely perfect. Um, I loved the camping and the outdoors and the campfires. I did it all the time, a lot. I was constantly doing those things, and um, this was another one. Now it was really weird and sort of bad, and it's really hokey cokey. Um, so a lot of these kills were really unrealistic, like the bees and the shitter and the fucking curling iron. It was really weird, and there was just so many characters that were just out of this world. Kind of, oh my god, I can't believe they just said that. Are you seriously drooling over the kids that are coming to the camp? You fucking pedophile! And then all of the guys with the muscles and the short shorts and then the butts in the faces. Oh, it's just so weird. And then you see the weird overacting from the mom or the aunt. But for some reason it works. I really like it. Um, I, yeah. It's just, is it one of those that are so bad it's good? I don't know about bad. It's cheesy as hell. It's a weird one. This is one of the weirdest horror movies that I say that I do like quite a bit, but it's fucking weird. I know. Yeah, the ending. You know that's not really her, right? Well, obviously, it's just her face on top of a boy's body, who I guess was given. He was an 18-year-old model who was actually changing in behind the camera. You can see him changing out back in the back behind. You can literally see him getting changed. It's a movie mistake. But anyway, I guess they got him drunk and he just stood there naked. And then they superimposed her face on top of him. But yeah, and I guess her mother, I don't understand this. She's Jewish, and her Jewish mother wouldn't let her be anywhere near any of the killing or death stuff. But she would let her be in a movie like this, but not be around any of the killing. I guess she's a mother that had to draw a line somewhere. Um, so that's where she drew it. It was just a weird place to draw a line. I mean, in a movie as bad as this, I mean, with all the sex and the young stuff and the murder and I don't know, the nakedness and all that kind of stuff, I guess you have to pretend that you got some kind of a line that you won't let your kids. She can be in this movie, but she She can't partake in any of those scenes. Okay. But yeah, I love that film. Um, Glowing. What do I call you, Glowing? I'm gonna call you Glowing.
Lon Chaney is also well known for playing.
By the way, we're doing this every Tuesday night. Okay, so this is part one of. Well, this is just one show, right? This is so I've got 14 shows, and they're just all getting started. Tuesday night is horror movie Fanatics. We just talk horror movies all night. And by the way, later on tonight, if you're gonna be here, if you're gonna be here for a while, later on tonight, after it gets dark, I don't like watching horror movies until it's dark. We're gonna watch a movie together, but the movie will be on Tubi, and I'll tell you what, you can pick if you want. If you're still here when the light goes down, which is going to be a long time. It's going to be 3.5, 4 hours from now. 3 to 4 hours from now, we'll be putting on a movie. And if you want to pick the Tubi movie, but make sure you have it downloaded and installed. And obviously, it has to be a horror. And we'll be doing a watch together. And the reason why we're going to do Tubi is just because it's free, so everybody can. Okay, so what movie would you like to watch? And by the way, it's only 10 after 5 where I'm at. It's 5:10 p.m. where I am. So it's a long time before we're actually going to watch a movie, and it has to be one I haven't seen. Well, it doesn't have to be, but there's a really good chance I will say no if you pick a movie that I've already seen. But anyway, I'm gonna keep going through. We got lots of time to think about the movie. Maybe you'll want some more input with some other people. But yeah, we're gonna do a watch together. But I'll give everybody plenty of notice so that they can get to Tubi and sign up for an account. It's free, and it's free forever. Like, this is a free streaming service, so there's no cost involved. There's just a couple of commercials now and again, but I find even the commercials are really small. So yeah, I was thinking about either Texas Chainsaw Massacre or The Hills Have Eyes, and believe it or not, I haven't seen the original of either of those. For some reason, I've missed out on the original of both of those for different reasons. So I'm thinking about one of those two. But if you want to change it up, then go ahead. But
Quasimodo in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. In this film, he demonstrated some great acrobatic skills. Also,
I don't know if you know who James Rolfe is, but he's really into classic horror movies. He's the angry video game nerd, and he's really into classic horror. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But if you've already seen it, maybe you want to watch something different. I don't know. I've never seen it. I love the remake. The remake is amazing. And somebody that I watch online was saying that The Hills Have Eyes and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre makes a great doubleheader. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch 2 movies in one night. That's an awful lot. But I'm not going to pause it like I'm pausing the videos here. I'm not going to pause those videos at all. We're just going to play them right through, and I'm going to talk over top of them. You've never seen Texas? Well, maybe we'll see. Yeah, okay, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There you go. You know, it's weird. Do you see how chainsaw is actually two words? I can't click on it because otherwise it'll start to play. Do you see how chainsaw is two words? That's correct. What I mean is that is how they spelt it in this original movie. They misspelled chainsaw. They put chainsaw as two words instead of one word, and I'm glad they kept the incorrectness of it. In my like this is my website, and so that would be in the 70s, 74, I believe. Oh shit! I changed it. I should keep it. I should change that up. But then again, you know, they've corrected it for the current modern day. But yeah, they spelt it incorrectly. They spelt it with two words instead of one, and it's supposed to be one word.
So he played a vampire in London After Midnight. No known copy of this film has survived, and today it's the holy grail of horror classics. With the dawn of the sound era, Chaney was asked to play Dracula in Universal Studios' remake, but he died of throat cancer in 1930. Ironic that he passed away with the silent cinema, but what would come in his place is one of the most iconic.
Well, this is just one article. This is one of the projects I've been working on. This is my website. This is one of the projects that I've been working on. It's the top horror movies of all time. I'm in the midst of editing it. I'm going to constantly update it until I get the most perfect list of the best horror movies of all time. And it's sorted alphabetically and sorted by date. But again, I'm in the midst of changing it again. But it's pretty good. It's a pretty good fucking list. And here, you should read the rules that I set up. Here's the rules, which I'm changing the rules a little bit. So I'm going to have to edit that. Again, it's still evolving. But, yeah. Because he's going through the history, I'm just kind of going through my early, my history stuff. This is gonna, the purpose of this is to be a one-stop shop of a list of every single, like if somebody is just getting into horror, then this is the list that you would give to them to watch. Just watch everything on this list. Like do one a week. It'll take a long time. And some of them like have many, like I have to take some out. But like for example, Friday the 13th, it'll only appear one time on this list because it covers the entire franchise. I don't know what a Letterboxd account is. I don't know what Letterboxd is. What is Letterboxd? Social Film Discovery. Oh. Oh. I didn't even know about this until right now. I might actually, I'm going to bookmark this. I might actually get involved in that. Now, what I have done is this. Now, Now, this isn't much, but this is what I've got right now. This is all of the the movies that I want to see. Three-headed shark, 976 evil. Here, let me I'll play around with it. Stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel, and then maybe come back. I'll take a look at it. I don't know if I'm going to sign up for an account right now, or sign up for an account or not. I'll look into it. I'll definitely look into it. And thanks for the suggestion. But this is what I've got right now as my watch list. These are all the movies that that I should watch. People have suggested them. I've actually just watched this one. I'm going to remove it. Normally, I don't like to remove things until I've seen the whole series. But, yeah, these are the movies that I still need to see. See, there's The Hills Have Eyes. So this is my to-watch list. The movies that people have mentioned and, you know, suggested for me that I still need to see. Or that I've just wanted to see for a long time and have never gotten around to it. Okay, let's continue.
Horror stars of all time in the first sound horror movie, and we'll talk about that next time. We just got through the silent movies. Now with the birth of sound movies, we have the birth of a new era, the Universal Studios horror cycle. This is the golden age where all the classic monsters made their eternal marks. The first was Dracula, and it's got all the elements of a proper chiller. Fog, bats, crumbling castles, cobwebs, possums, and bees? But anyway, the main attraction of this movie is Hungarian actor Bela Lugosi. Lugosi only learned the English language for the roles he played on stage and on the screen. The rhythm and accent of his voice would forever become the way Dracula talked. Though he wasn't the first Dracula, he was the first in setting the popular image and folklore of the character. He was surely the best Dracula there ever was or will be, and if you have any doubt about that, he was buried in the cape. Now that's commitment. He just has this evil presence, and when he starts staring at you like that, you know you're fucked. Man, Dracula's a pimp. Dwight Frye's also great as the crazy Renfield. The movie has a slow but creepy, dreamlike atmosphere to it. Because it's the first sound horror movie, they didn't think to add music, so when there's no dialogue, there's hardly any audio whatsoever, but that only adds to the creepy atmosphere, making it the definitive chiller and the best Dracula movie. Following its success, the studio decided to make Frankenstein, the classic tale of a scientist who dares to play God and create a human being. Bela Lugosi, fresh off of Dracula, was asked to play the monster, but the part wasn't appealing to him. His face would be covered in pounds of makeup and he wouldn't have any dialogue, so he refused. The role was handed over to Boris Karloff, who became one of the most famous horror stars to ever live, and perhaps the most famous movie monster of all time. Since the film's release, audiences called the monster Frankenstein, even though the name belongs to the scientist. In the films, the monster itself is usually referred to as Frankenstein's monster, the Frankenstein monster, or just the monster. However, the confusion has lasted to this very day. The look of the monster, which everybody recognized, was created by makeup man Jack Pierce. In Mary Shelley's original novel, the monster's description is pretty vague, so it was all invented for the movie. While the movie's criticized for not doing the novel justice, it is responsible for putting Frankenstein into the pop culture. For example, Dr. Frankenstein in the movie has a hunchback assistant. That now has become a staple in movies, cartoons, and all media. Nobody can forget the images from this film. Even if you haven't seen the movie, you're probably familiar with it. From beginning to end, every scene is memorable. Frankenstein and his assistant digging up the corpses, the laboratory with all those crazy electronic gadgets, the lightning, the little girl by the pond, the angry village people chasing the monster with torches, and of course some of the most famous movie lines ever spoken. The movie has been parodied and imitated countless times over the decades. The sequel, Bride of Frankenstein, sticks closer to the novel, and this time gives the monster a voice. The film makes you sympathize more with the monster, and it's a lot more emotional, yet all around superior to the first movie. It also introduces one of the greatest mad doctors ever, Dr. Pretorius, played by Ernest Thesiger. Boris Karloff would once again play the monster in Son of Frankenstein, which some feel is the best of all of them due to Bela Lugosi's fantastic performance as Igor. Basil Rathbone's also great as the Son of Frankenstein. After this film, Karloff would step down for other actors to play the monster, but the mark he made is legendary. Fresh off his success as the monster in Frankenstein, Boris Karloff went on to play the Mummy, so he was the first in portraying two of the most imitated movie monsters of all time. Don't be fooled, the Mummy doesn't spend the whole movie wrapped in bandages going around killing people. Most of the movie he's actually unwrapped, trying to raise his mummy princess from the dead. But when he finds out that she has a living reincarnation, he instead tries to kill her and make her a living mummy like himself. The movie is a unique sort of horror story. It's often called a love story that's lasted for thousands of years, and the movie has a creepy, hypnotic feel. One of my favorite parts is the flashback describing how...
So what's your favorite horror movie? Just so I can get a feel for your taste.
How the mummy Imhotep was buried alive for breaking into the princess's tomb to try to resurrect her. And to keep the location secret, the men who buried her were killed. It may be the first impaling ever shown on screen. One thing that makes this movie special is that there were no sequels, not unless you count The Mummy's Hand, The Mummy's Tomb, The Mummy's Ghost, and The Mummy's Curse, but these followed a different mummy named Charis, controlled by the Egyptian priests seeking revenge on those who robbed their sacred tombs. This mummy stays in its bandages, it never speaks, and it mindlessly kills people. We start getting into the universal horror cycle, but here's one from Paramount, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In this movie it's pronounced Jekyll, but whatever. Frederick March is fantastic as the Doctor and his alter ego.
Jekyll? Jekyll? I've never, ever heard that before. Oh. Itchy the Killer. You're one of them, eh? There's a lot of you guys that like the extreme stuff. So I guess Karoshia? Is this it? Itchy the Killer.
親父消えたんだよ。絶対見つけるから。復讐できるんだ。
he just cut off his own fucking tongue? Is he cutting himself up? He cuts himself up, eh? Jesus fuck.
親父はどこだ。
一ってやっぱ化け物みたいなやつですね。
早くこいつに会いたいよ俺。
Wait. Psychotic, unsettling, and politically incorrect. Oh my god. I fucking love it. Just tell them, hey, if you want politically incorrect, go elsewhere. Fucking right on. I just find it so shocking that you would use that in your trailer from 2001. I don't know if you'd be able to get along. I don't know. I love that idea, though. That's pretty fucking brutal. So that's the kind of stuff that you're into, huh? Once again, I don't have anything to say negative about people who like the extreme cinema. I know Takashi Miike is extreme. I'm pretty sure it's Japanese. Maybe it's South Korean. I don't know. I think he's Japanese. Yeah. Osaka, Japan. It's just, I don't know. I'm kind of pretty middle of the road, mainstream milquetoast myself. Although I appreciate, like, there are gore hounds and extreme horror cinema folks that I follow. Like, even this, I don't really like these classic horror films. But I like to see the people who do love them, James Rolfe, talk about them. And same thing with the extreme cinema. Like, for example, what are they? Horrible Reviews. That guy goes through the extreme cinema stuff. And I appreciate it. And that's about as much of it as I would want to ingest myself. I'm pretty mainstream, middle of the road myself, but I understand people that like to go further than I do, because I like to go further than a non-horror fan, for example. So,
Go. The production values.
I'm not casting any judgments. I love all of the different pieces, all of the different groups of horror, all the different types of horror. And I like to listen to every single one of them. I love that horror is, there's so much to it. And just because something maybe goes too far for me, I don't judge. I really don't. Because, like I said, my mother, for example, looks at me and calls me a sicko because I like Friday the 13th. Or something like that, right? She'll call me a sicko. I don't feel like, and I know I'm not a sicko, so I don't have a right to, because somebody wants to go further than me, I don't have a right to call them a sicko. I only call people sickos is when they do sick things in real life.
Is top notch. The foggy street corners.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, that's another one. Ilsa. Oh, no trailer. I saw somebody do a review. But anyway.
The ultimate in screen terror. The horror that was the Nazi nightmare explodes on the screen. Because of the shocking nature of many scenes in this film, it is definitely not recommended for the squeamish or easily offended.
Oh, that's it? That's not much of a trailer. But I've heard people talk about it. I'm pretty sure Horrible Reviews talked about it. So you're really into the extreme stuff, eh?
There's gas lamps and gothic architectures all look great. There's lots of nice camera work with some ambitious point of view shots. Then the transformation of Mr. Hyde is one of the strangest special effects I've ever seen. The makeup was already on his face, but only by applying different lights and filters you can see it appearing. For 1932, it must have looked pretty realistic. What really steals the whole show is Mr. Hyde. He's such an asshole. He does whatever he wants. Even in a public place, nobody ever attempts to call the cops on him. The rape scenes alone must have been enough to give it an X rating, but of course there were no ratings back then. I actually find it quite amazing how he can talk with those huge teeth in his mouth. And look how acrobatic he is. Wow, look at him go. He's like a monkey on drugs. Mr. Hyde is awesome, and so is this movie. Got a good one for you today. It's going to be a howl. It's The Wolfman from 1941. The Wolfman was played by Lon Chaney Jr., following in the footsteps of his father, the Man of a Thousand Faces. Originally, the movie was meant to be all psychological, like we never actually see the werewolf. We're not supposed to know whether or not he's really turning into a wolf, or he's just losing his mind. But to make a bigger buck, it was eventually decided to just show the werewolf. Two things you'd expect to see from a werewolf movie is a good transformation sequence and a shot of the full moon. You don't get either, and there's lots of weird continuity issues. But where this movie shines is in its creepy atmosphere, its foggy streets and forests, and some classic dialogue. And Chaney's performance as both Larry Talbot and the Wolfman is extraordinary. What I like about this movie is that it's about the beast within. It's not like Dracula or Frankenstein. The Wolfman is just a regular guy with an animal inside. Because of this movie, Lon Chaney Jr. quickly became the biggest horror star of the 1940s, and throughout various sequels to many films, ended up playing Frankenstein's monster, the Mummy 3 times, Alucard, the son of Dracula, and the Wolfman 4 more times. Frankenstein meets the Wolfman put the two monsters together in a battle to the death. Ironically, the monster was played by Bela Lugosi a decade after he first turned down the role. When this proved to be a smash hit, Universal brought Dracula into the mix and the Monster Mash franchise was born. The Wolfman, Dracula, and the Frankenstein monster appeared in 3 films together, often with mad doctors, hunchbacks, over-the-top comic book style storylines, and 2 of the greatest comedians of all time, Abbott and Costello. One trademark that finally came into play was the werewolf transformation effects. Chaney would have to stay still for hours and hours while the makeup was gradually applied to his face. That's stop motion, baby. That's old school. The Wolfman's a first-rate chiller and the sequels are good fun. Check them out. They'll grow some hair on your balls. We're going to wrap up the 1940s.
So, The Untold Story, I don't even know what that is. from last year. Comedy drama. Is there a different untold story? Well, if 3 and then 2, it would be like 1997 or something. This one? 8 Immortal Restaurant, The Untold Story. Oh, this could be it, because it's foreign. You like the foreign ones. I'm just going to assume this is the one. Becky. I don't know what that is. Oh. Oh, wait, I do know. This is a girl that is being hunted down, and she ends up kicking their ass instead. Did you like it? I'm getting mixed signals from it. Yeah, like the one I clicked on. Yeah, the 93. It's the 8 Immortal Restaurant, The Untold Story. So did you like Becky? I haven't seen it, and it doesn't look like one that I'd want to see. To be honest with you, this doesn't look like something. I've been hearing mixed reviews over this. But The Wicker Man, which one? Hopefully the original, because the remake is terrible. Yeah, hey, I have no problems with remakes. None at all. Sometimes they improve on things, but sometimes they don't. And The Wicker Man is a great example of a really shitty remake. Oh my god. Not that I loved the original. I didn't love the original. It's not really my cup of tea, but it was certainly a hell of a lot better than the remake. The bees, my eyes! No, the bees, not the bees! Oh my god. Rosemary's Baby. Again, it's a little bit slow. It's kind of like The Wicker Man. It's a little bit slow, but still very good. It's like the entire movie is a build-up for this thing that happens at the end. I like it. I like it a lot. I will admit the pedophile, known as Roman Polanski, who made the movie, it does kind of turn me off of the film. But this is one of those examples that I can kind of separate the art from the artist. I don't know why. I don't know why. I can do it here, but I can't. Sometimes I can do it, and sometimes I cannot do it. But for example, in this movie's instance, I can do it. Yeah, the original Wicker Man was very good. And Scanners. I still haven't seen it yet. I'm pretty sure it's over here for me to see. I've seen the head explosion numerous times. Wait. Really? It's not here? There it is. Okay, now it's added to the library. Now See, Woody Allen, it's just, I'm not into his films. It's like, an ugly, stupid, old Jew, in a love drama thing with a beautiful fucking woman. I just don't buy it. This wheezy little weakling, flaky, blah, 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 falling in love and having a drama relationship. That's all of his movies are the fucking same. With some beautiful fucking 10 out of 10. I just don't buy it. And it just seems gross. Seems kind of creepy. Roman Polanski, I'll admit, I don't know. Let's pull up his films. Chinatown, never saw it. The Tenant, never saw it. The Ghost Rider, never saw it. Carnage, never saw it. Wow, he's still working too, eh? An Officer and a Spy. See, I'm almost completely horror, which is why I know Rosemary's Baby. But, yeah, I don't know any of this other stuff. Where is Rosemary's Baby? Wait, is this actor? We don't want an actor, we want a director. Wait. Where is... Didn't he direct Rosemary's Baby? He was only the writer? He didn't direct it? Yeah, he directed it. Oh, I must have skipped it. I probably just skipped it. Like I said, don't get me wrong. I liked it. I just... and I can separate his, criminal past. And sometimes I think it's a little bit exaggerated. I do believe that there's a difference between pederasty and pedophilia. A 16-year-old that is really horny and really wants to, have sex. Okay, I agree that it's creepy when a 30-year-old says yes. But, and, I guess there's laws. But, for example, in one country there's law number 1, and in another country there's a different law, different ages of consent. But I think nature pretty much takes care of that for us. Nature says that, nature says that you want to have sex at puberty. Now, children is a different story. And I do believe that age differences can be a problem. Older people preying on horny young people. That's a problem. But, I don't know what the ages were of these things and what the allegations were and stuff. But I do know that if you're in fucking Hollywood, you'll probably have all sorts of stuff thrown your way. And I think we have to fucking, speak about it logically and correctly, rather than just like, oh my God, they're under 18, then that means it's illegal 100%, and anybody involved in those things needs to die. Bullets Over Broadway, nope. The Pianist. Yeah, nope. Again, I'm horror, literally horror, 90% of the time. The other 9% of the time is big blockbuster non-horror. Your Avengers, your Superman, your Indiana Jones, your Star Wars, Star Trek. That's 9%. All of the big blockbuster stuff. And then 1% is other. So 90% horror, 9% big blockbuster, and then 1% other. That's me. I'm almost completely horror. Once in a while, I do watch the big blockbuster stuff, and once in a while I go in a different direction, but that's not often. Very rare.
Universal Studios was the grand champion, the monster movie factory. They had big stars, big music, big storylines that flowed like comic books. These movies were entertaining commercial blockbusters. But on the other side of the spectrum, there was RKO, using low...
Well, okay, so here's another thing that nobody ever considers when they talk about pedophilia in Hollywood. Where are all the parents of these children? Aren't these parents literally offering up their children to the pedophiles in exchange for something? Money, wealth. You know, people, I have seen on camera a woman sell her child. That for real life. R-E-A-L. Real life. I've seen it, in Africa. A woman sold her child, and her son started to cry and started to go towards her, and she's like, no, go. Stop your crying and go. And then all on camera. I mean, slavery still happens. And I think these parents that are offering their kids up to Hollywood, all these beauty contests, all of these pushing their kids to do this and that and that and this, I think they know what they're doing. Okay, without a doubt, it would be The Thing. But I understand why a lot of people think The Thing is the best John Carpenter movie, but still, my favorite is Halloween. I understand the awesomeness and the greatness, and by the way, it's still a 5 out of 5. The Thing gets a perfect score from me, 5 stars, 5 out of 5. And so does Halloween. They're both 5 out of 5, but still, there's not just 5 types of movies. There's still a better 5 and a worse 5. And I just like Halloween more. Woody Allen was the parent. I don't want to talk about frickin' diddling kids. It's fucking depressing. And I just don't want to talk about it. It's kind of gross. But every time I think of somebody like Roman Polanski, it comes to my brain. And that's a problem. I don't want it to come to my brain. I don't like thinking about stuff like that. But I think everybody needs to take a fucking chill pill. They love talking about the people in Hollywood freaking doing all the pedo stuff. Just non-stop talking about it. And then I'm just thinking, well, what about the trailer park? There's, how about the fucking ghetto? There's a lot of pedo shit going on there, too. How about Skid Row? There's a lot of fucking junkie parents that will be more than happy to pimp out their children for a little bit of money to catch some fucking drugs. So, why focus on the rich and the powerful? When you could, if you really cared about, see, this is it, if you really cared about children being hurt by pedo stuff, then you could fucking go down to the fucking local kids shelter or the fucking local welfare row or wherever. Don't get me wrong, I like Big Trouble in Little China. It's a great movie, I'm just really, really dedicated and focused on horror. It's almost all horror with me. I don't really, I like those 80s movies. I like it. I like it. I also like Escape from New York, But horror movies is my thing. Is my jam. It's like 90%. And like I said, the rest of my 90% is pretty much taken up by the big blockbuster movies that you just have to see. And don't get me wrong, I like them. Well, most of them. I like Jurassic Park, and I like E.T., and I like Wizard of Oz. Which, by the way, if you go over to my website, you'll see all the different projects that I'm working on. I'm just getting started, too. Just getting started. And this one here, The Wizard of Oz. Let's turn the book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, into a horror movie. No experience necessary. We start this Friday. Well, maybe. I'm getting the live streams turned on first, but it's going to be every Friday. So I'm going to be making a horror movie with you. With you. And I do mean you. No experience necessary. We're going to convert The Wonderful Wizard of Oz into a horror movie. And we're going to do it together. Anime horror. I don't even know what anime is. That's how weird I am. I know people talk about it all the time, and I said it right, because I hear them talk about it. I think anime is just like Japanese cartoons, right? I guess it could have been in here. Am I going to be able to understand this if I click on the trailer?
はい、5秒前。4、3、2。
That doesn't really scream horror movie to me, but yeah, I just that didn't look horror to me. You could see, and by the way, I don't even watch that much. I really don't. What I do is I like to talk about these things. And I like to see little clips and people talking about them and talking about them, just talking about them. Talk shows about horror movies, which is what I'm doing here. And I like little glimpses of them. I don't even watch that many. I really don't. Tonight we're going to watch one. I'm going to try to watch one at the end of every stream. So on, we're doing the horror Fanatics every Tuesday, and at the end of every Tuesday, we're going to watch a horror movie, but one that is free to watch. And I guess it could be that one, but it has to be horror. Yeah, I don't know. It's just Japanese cartoons, anime. It seems like to me. I don't understand what the big deal about it is, but maybe it's just I'm too old. Maybe I'm too old and fuddy-duddy and oldie-woldy or something. I don't know.
Budgets and sets left over from previous films, RKO made some horror films of their own. The studio hired producer Val Lewton, and they gave him the titles. Here, make a movie called Cat People. Lewton would use whatever titles, but make a completely different picture than they'd imagine. If you watch this movie, you might be disappointed that there's no cat people. You never actually see anything supernatural, but this is one of the first films to realize that what you don't see is often scarier than what you do see. It's really clever because I can notice at least 3 different touches that make this work. First of all, it's a long period of silence, then suddenly there's a loud noise. Every horror film does this nowadays. Second, the sound of the bus actually resembles the hiss of a panther or some kind of large cat. So for a brief moment, that's what we expect to see. And third, right before the bus comes, notice how she looks to the side. She's off center of the frame, and naturally this draws our eyes to the left side of the screen. Then suddenly, a large object rushes in from the right side. Seeing it on a 4-inch YouTube screen doesn't help, but on a big screen and in 1942, you would have shit your pants. We started with the silent horror films of the 1920s, we made our way through the classic chillers of the 1930s and the monster mash from the 40s. After World War II, monster movies were no longer scary. People were obviously more afraid of the horrors of real life. So with the atomic age, a new genre of science fiction cinema was born. This was the B-movie age. The 1950s were all about monsters. Monsters created by scientific experiments, born from nuclear radiation, or alien invaders. We had giant ants, giant spiders, giant Gila monsters, killer brains, Godzilla, and oh god, there's a lot of good monster movies to pick from, but I'm going to go with The Creature from the Black Lagoon. The Creature, or Gillman as he's called, is so popular that he's often considered to be the last of the Universal Studio monsters. The creature on land was played by Ben Chapman, and underwater, Rico Browning, who had to hold his breath for 4 minutes at a time while wearing the creature's suit, and neither one of these guys were included in the film's credits to give a little more mystery to the creature.
Okay, I'm not gonna try it because my lungs are no good anymore. But 4 minutes? 4 fucking minutes? That seems like an awfully long time to hold your goddamn breath. I'm not gonna look it up. But that seems like an awfully long time.
The cinematography was brilliant, especially the underwater stuff, which was pretty innovative for its time. I dare to say it would look good in color, but the black and white tones sure do look gorgeous. The movie was originally shown in 3D. That would have been neat. Julia Adams is the creature's love interest, and again, if he would have just stayed in the water, he would have been fine. But then again, those scientists had no business in his lagoon. 2 sequels were made, Revenge of the Creature and The Creature Walks Among Us. And to close this review, I got a nice little piece of trivia for you. Revenge of the Creature marks the screen debut of Clint Eastwood. Well, a lot of people know that, but here's something else. In Back to the Future 3, Marty's getting ready to go back to the Old West. At the moment, it's supposed to be 1955. That's the year Revenge of the Creature came out.
Clint Eastwood never wore anything like this.
And what's that? Revenge of the Creature. Nice touch. The review of the day is The Tingler. Horror legend Vincent Price plays a doctor who makes an outrageous discovery. When you're scared, you know that tingly feeling you get in your spine? Well, that's a parasite, a creature called the Tingler, which lives in your vertebrae. It feeds and grows on fear, but luckily our bodies were built with a defense mechanism, screaming. Screaming is what stops the Tingler from growing.
That's hilarious. See, like, this is like a concept of a movie that is just fucking cool as all hell. This is yeah, my lungs are trash because I smoked for too many years. So I wouldn't even try it now. But maybe when I was younger, 4 minutes would have been okay or something when you're young and really healthy. But not me, not now. That's for damn sure. But I'm still pretty sure, even for a young, healthy person, 4 minutes is a really long time. But anyway, this is such a cool idea, a cool premise. You know that feeling you get in your, it's the tingler, and it stays small because you get to scream. So I'm guessing right away that they're going to stop people from screaming, and then the tingler is going to get big.
The doctor tries a deadly experiment on an innocent woman who's deaf and mute. The doctor gives her LSD and makes her have a horrible trip. It's a really weird scene with some color parts, and maybe the first drug trip ever depicted on film. But anyway, she can't scream, so the tingler is able to grow. At parts, the movie would stop in a gimmick to encourage the audience to scream. The theater seats were rigged with back vibrators to make you feel the tingler. There would also be actors planted in the audience fighting with the tingler itself. This is the work of William Castle. He is the man responsible for turning the movie theater into a funhouse. For House on Haunted Hill,
there's a lot of things that Hollywood could have and should have done to keep alive and relevant, but they didn't. They just more money for themselves, more money for themselves. And they forgot about innovation, they forgot about creativity, they forgot about all of the things necessary to do things properly, to keep their industry alive. And now it's dead. Now it's just agenda and frickin' stupidity and repetitiveness.
he had a glow-in-the-dark skeleton swing across the audience's head. Later, when people knew about it, kids would show up to the movie with slingshots and shoot rocks at it. This was when movies were fun. They were drive-in theaters, movies in 3D, live performers. It must have been great, but now it's just a thing of the past. We've seen that the 1930s and...
Yeah, it's true. I'm old, and I never went to... I remember the Rocky Horror in Toronto. There was a theater named the Rocky Horror. I remember in school, we always used to go watch this movie every Halloween, and all these people would dress up for it and do the activities and stuff, and it was a big event. And there was an entire theater dedicated to one single movie called the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And people would go there and just, it would be a crazy, crazy, crazy thing. None of that exists anymore. Not even close. People getting crazy and going out there and doing things. Everybody's afraid of offending people and oof. Last year was your favorite year of movies, 2019? Oh my. Well, yeah, we disagree a lot. But it's true that the movie theater attendance is dead. If you take a look at the biggest movies of last year, they were all kids' films. Comic books and kids. All of the genres are dead. Well, just because you saw a movie in that year, it doesn't mean the movie was from that year. Like, for example, you told me about you saw the original Wicker Man. And that was from the 70s. So, I completely disagree with you. The movies have gone downhill. Absolutely. You can disagree with me, but it's It's just a fact. When you take a look at all of the everything, movies have gone downhill and downhill and downhill and downhill. And now there's nothing left. Now it's all agenda. It's all politics, agenda, and crappiness. It's terrible. And all of the evidence proves me correct. The movie attendance, even with Avengers Endgame last year, and Captain Marvel, and Spider-Man, the attendance has gone down. Wow, that's like one a day. Yeah, that's a lot of movies. But when you take a look at the difference between, say, E.T. and what? Like even The Lion King. Just take a look at the toppy list of last year. The top list. Lion King. Everybody upon everybody, 100% of all of everyone agrees that the original was better. Everyone. That's an example. That was the #2 movie last year. Captain Marvel was a mediocre nothing burger. Avengers Endgame, okay, it's a spectacular event, but I didn't even see it. I'm done. Too many comic books. I'm done. The Joker was a bit of an oddball, but then you got Aladdin. Again, the original was better. Everything is going downhill. You sound like a young person who hasn't quite... When you're doing your due at the young age of being young, you think a certain way. But once you get older, you'll be able to take a look at all of the everything better. Now, I was like you. When I was young, I only liked the modern stuff of today. But as I grew older, I was like, I stopped liking this stuff from today. And then I was like, you know something? I didn't like this stuff from my parents' age, but I'm going to try it out now. And guess what? It was good. When you take a look at old movies like The Sound of Music and, when you look at everything from oldie time, it is actually good. Current day stuff is not good. 44. Okay, so you're not young, but it's been scientifically proven that today's stuff is crap. Okay? Music is crap, and they've proven it scientifically. And sales have also proven it scientifically. Movies, attendance has been dropping. Attendance for dropping for 20 years. 20 years solid. Attendance to movies have been dropping. Even the amount of money that they're making is dropping. Drop, 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 down, down, down. There is no masterpieces anymore. Everything is going downhill. That's a guarantee. Guarantee. I promise you, guaranteed, in all of the everything, Hollywood is failing. And they're failing hard. They have lost the everything. The machine called Hollywood that makes movies, music, and TV, the machine called Hollywood is broken. It is unable to make good stuff. Now, in a year, they make 1,000 things. And there's always a top 10 of those 1,000 things. But when you compare the top 10 of yesterday to 20 years ago or 40 years ago, night and day, when you take a look, when you go back, and you take a look at the movies, for example, from 1985 versus the movies from 2015, there is zero comparison. Z-E-R-O, zero comparison. The movies of 1980, when you read all of the movies compared to 2015, night and day. Night and day. It's like a different planet. 2015, watch it, maybe have a little fun, completely forgotten. 1985, masterpiece, 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 classic, 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 masterpiece, classic, masterpiece. From two blank, 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 from the year to blank, 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 it's been downhill. It's all garbage. The 1990s was the turnaround decade. That was hit and miss for Hollywood. It's been downhill, guaranteed, since the year 2000. Now, I'm not saying that there's zero good, and there's always a best of the bunch. Like if you got a bushel of rotten apples, there is still one that is the best of the bushel of rotten apples. But in every single possible way that anything can be measured and thought of and measured. Just take a look at, let's take a look at Terminator. Excellent, excellent, mediocre, shit, shit, shit. Let's take a look at Alien. Excellent, excellent, debatable, shit, shit, shit. You can do all of the everything. All of the everything. I am 100% guaranteed perfectly correct in this assumption. The Hollywood machine is broken. The A-list movie making blah, 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 blah equals broken. Now, sometimes the broken thing can create something half decent. But you cannot compare the today to 20 years ago, or 40 years ago, or 60 years ago. Different planets. And there's no disagreeing. The movie theaters are empty. Every year attendance goes down. People don't care. They'd rather watch a stupid YouTube video than watch one of these movies. Now, it hasn't just clicky click, snappy finger, and then it just turned off. It was somewhat gradual, and I call the 90s the turnaround decade. That's where the hit and miss, good and bad and good and good and bad and bad, good, right? And you can just follow Steven Spielberg's career. How about just follow his career? Masterpiece, 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 masterpiece. Well, kind of debatable. Masterpiece, masterpiece, debatable. Crap, 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 masterpiece, crap. Debatable, debatable, crap, crap, masterpiece. Crap, crap, crap. You know, just follow Steven Spielberg's career. From Duel to Jaws to, you know, E.T., and then, you know, Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. But then there's AI and freaking Ready Player One and all sorts of crap. You loved Avengers Endgame, a crappy remake of I don't even know what you're loving. Objectively guaranteed, objectively, 1 + 1 = 2. This is not up for debate. It's not up for a debate. You can disagree, and you can say that 1 + 1 = 3. You're free to do that. Okay? You're free to say that 1 + 1 = 3. It's a free country. You can do that. But it's not. So here we got 2019, Avengers Endgame. I don't even know what to say about the film. I'm done with comic books. No, taste is not subjective. No, it's not. You're starting to sound like a lefty. The Lion King, objectively worse than the previous. Star Wars is dead. Everybody knows that Star Wars is dead. All of Star Wars is dead. It was great in the 70s and 80s. In the 90s, it was we pretty much didn't like it. And now it's completely in the toilet. That is objectively true. It is not my opinion. It is not subjective. There are some things that are subjective. But this is not one of them. I'm not talking in the realm of, well, which one is better, Alien or Aliens? That is subjective. Frozen 2, worse than Frozen 1. Everybody knows it. Guaranteed, 100%. Everybody knows that what I'm saying is 1 + 1 = 2. Guaranteed. Toy Story 4, the worst of the series. Everybody knows it. Everybody except you. Captain Marvel, one of the worst in the entire series. Spider-Man, people are tired of it. And still, these last Spider-Mans have not even come close to Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Aladdin, worse. So far, I'm 100% correct. Aladdin, worse than the original. Everybody agrees. Joker, a weird kind of hit, whatever. Jumanji, nobody cares. It Chapter 2. The first one made a bunch of money, It Chapter 1. Everybody says that this is a bad movie, and it still made a bunch of money, but whatever. Us. People liked it because it was full of black people, but really it was all style over substance. It was a crap movie. And I can go down the list, and I can prove to you that what I am saying is 1 + 1 = 2. And what you are saying is 1 + 1 = 3. I promise you I am right. There is no debate. No debate. Yes, you're seeing Klaus. Okay, some people said it was a good movie. I don't do cartoons. The Peanut Butter Falcon, they said that it was good, but I mean, a couple of mediocre, kind of verging on 7 or 8 out of 10 good films? No. Now, I'm gonna show you. Now let's go down to 1985. You had a couple of good times with a couple of mediocre movies last year. That's it. Number 1, Back to the Future. And by the way, all of that was comic book, kids, comic book, kids, comic book. All of the genres are dead. Comedy is dead. Action is dead. Horror is somewhat still alive. Romantic is dead. Everything is dead. 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 Everything is dead. Except for comic books and kids. Comic book, which is kids. So kids and comic books. Everything else is dead. They've killed everything else. And guess what? Comic book is dead now too. So there's nothing left. So now the movie theater is take your kid for a day out. Just get him out of the house. Take a look at this 1985. Back to the Future, classic. Rambo First Blood Part 2, classic. Rocky, classic. Color Purple, classic. So we got comedy, sci-fi comedy, action, action, drama, drama. Out of Africa, Cocoon, The Dream is Alive, The Jewel of the Nile, Witness, The Goonies, Spies Like Us, A View to a Kill, National Lampoons, The Breakfast Club, for God's sakes. Where are the movies, the actual movies for kids? Mask, White Knight, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Brewster's Millions, St. Elmo's Fire, Commando, Teen Wolf, Prizzi's Honor. These movies are going to last forever. Hollywood equals dead. They're still hanging on a little bit, and what you're showing is how they're hanging on a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit here and a little bit there. It's sad. Where is the Jaws? Even your biggest freaking Quentin Tarantino fan will say that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood it's not even his best film. It's mediocre at best. It was mostly boring. It was just, him sucking the dick off of Hollywood. John Wick Chapter 3, okay, the best of the bunch. It didn't even make it to the top 10 of the year. Fright Night, Prizzi's Honor, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Porky's Revenge. These are films that have lasted forever. And look at the variety. Look at the variety. And then you go to today. You go to your favorite year of last year, 2019. You're insane. You go to your favorite year of 2019. Kids, 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 kids. Joker. The Rock. Horror. Horror. The Rock. John Wick. I mean, this is sad. These are all forgettable nothing. I'm telling you a fact. If you don't want to accept facts inside of your head, then that's okay. But it is a fact. It's not subjective. That Hollywood equals dead. The Hollywood machine is broken. It can no longer create genius. The best it can muster up is mediocre. Sometimes it's okay. Parasite is an embarrassment for a best film of the year. All of the ones on the list were an embarrassment for the best film of the year. Hollywood is an embarrassment. Music is an embarrassment. Television is an embarrassment. It's over. Hollywood is over. The machine is broken. Let's take a look at this another way. Forget about 2020, because obviously shit has happened, right? I want you to focus really, really close and really, really hard with your eyes. Are you focused? Focus in really, really hard on the blue line only. Blue line. B-L-U-E. The blue line. Here is 2020. Or, sorry, 2002. This is the most number of tickets sold ever. And it has been steadily declining. Down, 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 then down, 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 down. The number, forget about this, because they have offset the declining ticket sales with increase. There is no masterpieces, there is no brilliance, there is no genius. It's over. And it has been for a long time. The fact that you maybe really love movies and you just like will take the best that you can get. Okay, I get it. You really love movies. And in this year, in this particular year number X, this is the best that they have to offer, and I'm going to enjoy it. And because you love movies, you give it a higher score than you should. It's just like me. I am biased. I am biased when it comes time to horror. When I rate a horror movie, I give it a higher grade than an other person will, because I'm biased towards horror movies. But I can understand that I'm biased, and I give these movies a higher grade than most people. Because for some reason, there's something about it that I just... And you, it sounds to me like you are just biased towards movies in general. That's what it sounds like to me. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with... to be honest with you, it's quite a good thing to be. And a good place to be. Is to love this thing so much that no matter what you're given, you just love it anyway. Because you love it so much. It's a good place to be. It's like if you love comic book movies. And it's just every single comic book movie ever that comes out, you just love it. That's a good place to be. There's nothing wrong with being there. But it's not real. To say that all of the, you know, like, to say that 2019 was the best year, it's sad. It's really sad. And it's objectively false. It is incorrect. There's no more magic in Hollywood. Now, all of the reasons, I could talk to you about all of the everything, but that would take years. Well, at least many hours. I've thought about listing all of the reasons why Hollywood is dead. All of them. The machine called Hollywood, the machine that spits out product, is broken. And but every once in a while, it can accidentally, it's like a broken clock is right twice a day. That's the same thing with Hollywood. I could write down all of the every reason why Hollywood is broken. I could list all the reasons. And there's none of it. All of it is 1 + 1 = 2. All of it is 1 + 1 = 2. It's straightforward logic, mathematics. When we go to opinion territory, I'm fine. When we go to opinion territory, we can talk about opinion. But in a world of increasing population, for there to be a decline in movie theater attendance, and an objective, massive decline in quality of film, no more masterpieces, no more genius, no more classics, no more movies that live forever. It's all dead. And then you start to take a think about all of the reasons why Hollywood is broken. All of the reasons why Hollywood is broken. I'm going to show you one. Just stay tight. Sit tight. Sit tight. Sit tight. I'm going to prove to you that I am right. This guy...
Hey, 42 here. A quick warning before we begin. This is a boring video. No, seriously. It's all about boring. But before we look downwards, let's take a detour up.
Okay, here we go. This guy is a smart guy, and he's going to tell you why music is shit. He's going to tell you, he's going to teach you 1 + 1 equals music plus music equals shit today, okay? And he's going to tell you why. Mathematically, he's going to tell you why. And I could tell you why Hollywood, this is part of Hollywood. There's 3, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Hollywood, movies, music, television. Bam, bam, bam. 1, 2, 3. Right? That's the 1, 2, 3 things. And he's going to tell you he's going to tell you why modern music is so shit. So let's tune in.
Hey, 42 here. On the 6th of December 1966, 4 guys from Liverpool stepped into Abbey Road Studios and began to record an album. 333 hours and many questionable substances later, the Beatles had emerged, having produced their 8th album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It would go on to sell over 32 million copies worldwide and be named the greatest album of all time by Rolling Stone magazine and many other publications. It was highly experimental, using mold-breaking techniques and a huge array of unusual instruments. The band had produced an emotional masterpiece that epitomised the so-called Summer of Love and was a true masterpiece of its time. Yet it remains just as relevant and powerful today. Fast forward 44 years to 2010, and Justin Bieber released his hit single, Baby. This is generally considered to be a bad move. So what went wrong? How did we go from Bob Dylan to Britney Spears, from Led Zeppelin to Lady Gaga, and the Kinks to Katy Perry? But who am I to criticise the musical tastes of the vast majority of today's youth?
So look at these kids. I am telling them that they are liking inferior stuff, but it's the best that they have. It's the best there is. Right? It's what they have. It's what exists. It is there, right there in front of their face. So I'm not calling them assholes. I'm not calling you an asshole. And it's not a debate. The fact that they love this concert and this is the best music that they have and they're having fun and they're listening and they're doing, there's nothing wrong with that. But I can objectively say that whatever it is that they're listening to there is inferior to Fleetwood Mac or Michael Jackson or really just about anybody. From, things are objectively getting worse, period. End of story. But it doesn't mean that they can't have fun and they can't enjoy and that they're wrong.
Personally, my musical tastes are stuck in the middle of last century. But you may think that just makes me old-fashioned, stuck in the past, and I should probably move with the times. But here's the thing. There is far more to this than simple nostalgia, and when your parents keep telling you that the music died long ago, they may actually have a point. Because it turns out that science agrees with them. Over the past...
Science agrees. 1 + 1 = 2. Let's do it. Let's get into the reason, the scientific reason why things are on the decline from a musical perspective.
30 plus years, researchers have been studying how...
First of all, they're all just a bunch of bimbos, model bimbos that sing other people's song and don't even play instruments. They have nothing to do. They might have a halfway decent voice and they can sing shit, but they're mostly just a bunch of whores bouncing their tits around and, wiggling their ass and, singing a song. They're not even musical. Madonna's a good example. They're not even musical.
How trends in music have evolved. And a recent study in 2000...
And Hollywood is just as bad. The movies and the TV. They're all just the sons and daughters of the fucking previous generation, and they're talentless zero people that just keep squirting out, squirt, and the only reason they have a job is because their dad is famous.
2012 by the Spanish National Research Council revealed that the suspicions of somewhat antiquated individuals, such as myself, are very true. Music is getting worse every year. The researchers took around 500,000 recordings from all genres of music from the period of 1955 to 2010, and they meticulously ran every single song through a set of complex algorithms. These algorithms measured 3 distinct metrics of each song: the harmonic complexity, the timbral diversity, and loudness. The most shocking result that the researchers found was that over the past few decades, timbre in songs has dropped drastically. Timbre is the texture, colour, and the quality of the sounds within the music. In other words, the song's richness and depth of sound. The researchers found that timbral variety peaked in the 1960s and has since been steadily declining. The timbral palette has been homogenized, meaning songs increasingly have less diversity with their instruments and recording techniques. This divide is clearly evident if we take what is widely considered to be the Beatles' masterpiece, A Day in the Life, which was recorded using an orchestra of 40 musicians. But this is not classical music, this is pop. The 5-minute piece contains violins, violas, cellos, double bass, harp, clarinets, an oboe, bassoons, flutes, French horns, trumpets, trombones, a tuba, and of course the 4 band members playing their usual instruments over the top. In contrast, Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines uses mostly one instrument, a drum machine. And yes, this is a rather extreme example, a song known for its one-dimensional but punchy bassline, but it represents an overall trend with modern pop music that the researchers found within their data. Instead of experimenting with different musical techniques and instruments, the vast majority of pop today is built using the exact same combination of a keyboard, a drum machine, sampler, and computer software. This might be considered as progressive by some people, but in truth it sucks the creativity and originality out of music, making everything sound somewhat similar. Do you ever flick through the radio and think to yourself, all these songs sound the same? Well, what the researchers found is that the melodies, rhythms, and even the vocals of popular music have become more and more similar to each other since the 60s. One facet of this homogenization of popular music was pointed out by musical blogger Patrick Metzger. Metzger noticed that hundreds of pop artists were using the exact same sequence of notes, in which there's a shift from the 5th note in a scale to the 3rd note and then back to the 5th. This sequence of notes is usually accompanied by a vocal wah-oh pattern. Metzger named this the millennial whoop, and it sounds like this. Whoa, 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 whoa. The millennial whoop can be found in hundreds of chart-topping pop songs created over the past few years, and its usage is becoming more frequent all the time. From Katy Perry's California Girls to Justin Bieber's Baby, literally every single major pop star today has included the millennial whoop in at least one of their songs. But why? Well, quite simply, familiarity. Our brain likes familiarity. The more we hear the same sounds, the more we enjoy them. The millennial whoop has become a powerful and predictable way to subconsciously say to the masses, hey, listen to this new song, it's really cool. But don't worry, you will like it because it's also really familiar. Because you've actually heard it hundreds of times before. And in this wildly unpredictable world, this makes us feel safe. Sticking to the same cookie-cutter formula comforts people, and that's important. But what about lyrics? Well, I'm afraid it's bad news there too. Another study examined the so-called lyric intelligence of hundreds of Billboard chart-topping songs over the past 10 years. They used different metrics, such as the Fleischer-Kincaid Readability Index, which indicates how difficult a piece of text is to understand and the quality of the writing. This was the result. Over the past 10 years, the average lyric intelligence has dropped by a full grade. Lyrics are also getting shorter and tend to repeat the same words more often. We've gone from the absolute poetic beauty of Bob Dylan and Morrissey to, well, this and this. What if I also told you that the vast majority of chart-topping music in the past 20 years was written by just 2 people? What do Britney Spears, Taylor Swift, Ellie Goulding, Robin Thicke, Jessie J, Justin Bieber, Katy Perry, Ariana Grande, Justin Timberlake, Maroon 5, Pink, Leona Lewis, Avril Lavigne, Christina Aguilera, Kesha, the Backstreet Boys, Westlife, NSYNC, Adam Lambert and will.i.am all have in common? The answer: their songwriter. I'm not saying 100% of their songs, but a good chunk of all these artists' songs were written by the same Swedish man, a Mr. Max Martin. This one man is single-handedly responsible for over 24 #1 singles and thousands of songs in the top 100 charts over the past decades.
There's no more artists left in Hollywood. These are bimbos that are the son or the daughter of somebody big, a politician or a fucking big business person, that their kid went to them when she was 16 and said, "I want to be a famous singer." Okay, we'll give you a year of singing lessons, and then I'll make some phone calls. That's about it. It's not artists. There's no more artists anymore. They're all sons and daughters of blah, 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 and it's all crap. And these movies that you're talking about don't impress me, and it's sad. I'm glad you like them. I'm glad you like them. But they're sad. They're really sad. And you got to admit that you're the only one. I just showed you last year. All of these, this is fucking sad. Comic book, kids, comic book, or Star Wars. It didn't even hit, like, that's sad for a Star Wars movie to come in number 6. It's the first time ever. Star Wars is dead. Spider-Man. Kids. Finally something different, and then The Rock comes in. I put the, what's his name? The Rock, anyway. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Okay, so we got comic book number 1, kids number 2, and then The Rock. Okay, he's his own genre. And then a little bit of horror. Everything else is dead. These movies that you're talking about are not as good as you think they are. You may have enjoyed them or something, but I'm not even going to watch The Lighthouse. No interest in any way, shape, or form. With that homoerotic, multi-generational, kind of porn, whatever. Porn horror. No thank you. Not interested. And all of these other ones that you're talking about, they're mediocre. You have a very low... you seem like a person that I knew at work. I would say, what did you think of the movie blank? And they say, oh, it was good. What did you think of the movie blank? Oh, it was good. What did you think of the movie blank? Oh, it was good. What did you think of the movie blank? Oh, it was good. What did you think of the movie blank? Oh, it was good. What did you think of the movie blank? Oh, it was good. Are you getting the picture? Everything was good to him. So finally, I decided to put him to the test. I was hearing different stuff about The Dark Tower. And I said, so I see you reading the book, The Dark Tower. You're probably rereading it, right? Because he was a big reader. So that you can watch the movie again. Yeah. So he saw the movie, and I said, so what did you think? He said it was good. And I was like, okay, I'm going to watch it. I got 15 minutes into the fucking movie. 15 minutes into the movie, and it was like, oh my god, this is so bad. This is the world's shittiest thing ever. And then I went to him the next day, and I said, you do realize that if you just call every movie good, then your opinion means nothing. And he just shrugged his shoulders and walked away. He didn't know what to say, right? Oh, I don't know. I just think everything is good. And that's fine. You know? It's okay that you like everything. And that, you know, like, I see it all the time. I see it in a lot of people. You're here in a movie realm. You're in a space called movie. This is horror movie Fanatics, right? And you are the type of person that just likes every movie. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes time to actual criticism, if no movies in your world get a 0 out of 10, or a 1 out of 10, or a 2, or a 3, or a 4, they're all 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, why even have the first section? Right? Does 0 to 4 out of 10 even exist in your world? Or is, you know, and I get it. It's like you could like pizza, right? You just love pizza so much that if pizza just comes anywhere near you, then you just like it. That's valid. It's very valid. I'm like that with burgers. I'm like that with hamburgers. Even a bad hamburger, I can eat. I can eat forever. Like, I just love hamburgers so much that, you know, I just don't care. But you can't tell me that Hollywood is not in the decline. Like, I mean, it's the craziest thing ever. And it's worldwide. I can show you all the numbers. You know, the music industry was just about... The music industry is on its last legs. Hollywood is on its last legs. Traditional television is dead. Cable television is dead. It's going to die soon. It's going to be equal, gone, disappeared. So all that's going to be left is streaming services. And how are they going to sell their movies? On the internet? On YouTube? They're going to sell their movie on YouTube? When we know it's just going to be full of agenda, and it's going to be inferior to anything else. It's going to be crap. Here are some of the problems with Hollywood. Nepotism, CGI, there's too much money involved, shaky cam, green screens, infighting, leftist politics. The list is very long, and all of these problems have just been mounting and getting bigger and bigger on top of the, piling on top of one another to the point where Hollywood just can't do it. If Disney cannot make a good Star Wars movie, it's over. Terminator is dead. Aliens is dead. I haven't even seen Alien Covenant. Because I'm done. I'm out. I'm checked out. No, everybody agrees with me. This is not... Look at... You know, the population of the United States is going up. Yet people are going to the movies less and less and less and less. In 2019, they had Avengers Endgame. They had all of those billion-dollar movies. Yet, still, there was a decline. This movie was going to... This year was going to tank, even without coronavirus. It was going to go bankrupt. It's just a fact. People are saying goodbye to music. They're saying goodbye to movies. They're saying goodbye to television. in every possible measurable everything. It's over. Now, I still like, this is what I'm doing. I talk about horror movies. Old, new. There are new people that talk about new movies or new horror movies. They're all, really super low budget, like zero budget movies, horror movies. But I still like listening to them talk about them. I don't really want to watch them. And then there are people that are into the extreme horror movie from Days Gone, and it's still there. It hasn't gone to zero, but there is such a decline. There are no masterpieces made anymore. None. They are forgettable comic book movies and kids movies. That's all that's holding it together. And the lineup, the schedule of the Disney films for this year was gonna bomb. They already started to bomb. Armistice Fowl was so incredibly bad, it blew everybody's heads off. And that was gonna go to the movie theater. Black Widow, it's over. She's already dead. They killed her off in Avengers Endgame. You think people are going to come out and see that again? Wonder Woman? Everybody says that this new movie is terrible. It's all over. It's going to hang on, but all of the problems, nobody is willing to fix any of the problems that Hollywood has. Shaky cam, fix it in post, make the movie in the editing bay. Green screens, shaky cams, nepotism, way too much money, budgets beyond imagination. The leftist politics. Everything has to tick all the boxes. And those boxes are forever changing. Fox, 20th Century Fox. 20th Century Fox saw the writing on the wall. And they said, okay, we're out. We're done. 20th Century Fox. I'm going to say it again. 20th Century Fox saw the writing on the wall. And they said, we're out. We better get out now. We need to get out now. Now. N-O-W, now. Because it's all coming down. So they got out with $70 billion. And Disney was stupid enough to overpay for it. $70 billion. To purchase a thing that is dying. Television, movies, dead. It's over. They were unwilling to stay relevant. They were unwilling to stay up with the times. They were unwilling to modernize themselves and stay with the stay. I honestly think that the $500 million Avatar 2 is going to flop. This is going to be James Cameron's first flop. I could be wrong. He has shocked everybody every time he shocks. But I think it's dead. It's over. 20th Century Fox saw what I am saying. They saw what I am seeing. It's over. Hollywood is dead. They got out early so that they could get a big payout. Because if they waited, then the value of their business would have declined. They wouldn't get as much money. They were smart. Now let's take a look at television. You saw the decline there. Let's take a look at TV. Actually, let's do it from Wikipedia. Okay, so in the beginning of television, which is the 1950, you got 61 million people watching the #1 show. The next year, it was 53 million. Okay, 60 million, 50 million. 40, now we're into 40s, then we're into 30s, and then to 20s. Just, you're going to have to look close because there's a lot of stuff here. 20s. Okay, so where are we at now? We're in the 70s, and then we got 30 million, 28 million. Okay, keep going down. Where are we at now? We're in the 2008. Now we're down to 15 and 13. Oh my God. Oh my God. Down, 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 0 dead, gone, dead. And look at this. The #1 thing was football. The #1 thing on television is football. American football. And then The Big Bang Theory, which is no more. Your last big shows was Game of Thrones and The Big Bang Theory. Nothing has taken their place. I can show you all of the TV. I can show you all of it. And it is all going to 0. Television viewership is in the toilet. It's gone. Disney can't even get people to sign up for Disney Plus. The movie theaters are not coming back. They can't afford it. It's over. It's all dead. 20th Century Fox saw the writing on the wall, and they got out because the machine is broken. Now, maybe it's just a relic of the past. I don't see why. I think if they were making good movies, people would actually want to see them. I think that gets proven time and time again. They're just incapable of doing it. They are broken. Look at 10 million or 11 million. I mean, how many things do I need to show you? 60 million, 50 million, down to 10. Slow and steady decline, 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 down, down. And all the numbers are all the same. Everything, all of the everything guaranteed in my brain, it's all the same. It's all the same. So let's just take a look at last week. Let's take a look at last week. So here's last week. Week number 40. Week 40 of 2020. Now we skip over the first one, and here we go. So this is young people, ages 18 to 49, this column and this column. Okay? And this column and this column are total viewers. This is young people and old people. This is from last year to this year. 1 year. 1. Count them. Count them. We got 0, and then we have 1. This is 1 year. Year to year change. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. When you add all this up, it is a drastic decline. It is a massive decline. Look at all the red. In this entire section, it's all down. What is that, 50 TV shows? That's 1 year. 1 year. This one is down 53%. Down 38% viewership. Look at the young people. They don't give a fuck about TV. I know what I'm saying. I have all of the data. I study this. 20th Century Fox agrees with me. Do you think that those billionaire media moguls are wrong? They sold, they got out, because they saw the fall of Hollywood. It is dead. I don't know what else you want me to show you. I can show you every number there is. Let's go to some more numbers. Let's forget about this year. This year is a write-off, right? So why don't we go to the 2019 MP, what is it? MPA report. So, total global theatrical home and mobile entertainment has gone up. So you're going to go, see? Told ya. All of the money has gone up globally. Global, all movie theaters and home entertainment in all ways, in all of the everything. Everything added together is up. Okay? Physical media is down by about half. Digital media is up. And theatrical, 39 to 42. It's pretty much staying the same. You can say that that's an increase if you want, but when you include inflation, that's nothing. Here is just America. Look at the theatrical went down from 2018 to 2019. The theatrical was down, and it was going to tank this year. It was going to bomb explode. Okay? It already went down, and it was going to go down again. It cannot get out of this $11 billion range. Okay? But digital was up, but physical is way down. Physical media is going to disappear. But here's the thing. Traditional television is going to disappear. So how are people going to learn about movies? Are you going to subscribe to, how many streaming services are you going to subscribe to? It's all over. Once okay, what is dead all at the same time? The music industry almost died. Okay? It was almost dead by itself. Music. The thing that changed it is Apple decided to also go subscription-based. That is, now it's back up on an upswing, but I don't know how much longer. Maybe, people are okay spending the $5 a month for unlimited access to all music, and that's the future. It's possible. But it took, like Apple taking the Spotify route. Just pay us a monthly subscription, and then you can have access to all the music. And now they're doing it with movies. They're literally going to have to start doing that with movies and TV shows. Just give us $10 a month, and then you have access to this subscription. To all of the online, whatever, the Netflix. Do you have any idea the decline? In money, that is? That is such a huge decline. $10 a month versus paying $10 to go see a movie one time. One movie, one time. Do you understand the difference? Now, the last thing here is cable. Oh, here. No. Home. Page 32. So again, physical is down everywhere. Everywhere. Digital is going up. And international digital is going up. But here is the scary thing. You're right. Online video. Take a look at that online video. This is skyrocketing. The number of people that are subscribing to Netflix and similar. But it's only $10 a month. They used to be able to charge $10 for you to go see a movie one time. They used to sell you, maybe on a discount day, a movie for $10. One movie. Now, you pay $10 and it's for everything. Cable television, it's not a steep decline, but it is a decline. And you saw the television viewership. The only thing keeping cable alive is sports. I don't know why the sports people don't fuck off and just go to their own websites and do their own streaming services. Everything is going to the computer. And the first one there is going to win. Netflix, for example. The last one there is going to lose. You better hurry up and get there. But look at cable television. Even though the population of the world is going up by a lot, the number of people willing to pay $100 a month for cable is going down. I have all my numbers correct. All of my thinking is logical. Cable. This is the money involved in cable and satellite. Money, cable, and satellite. Money, cable, and satellite. This is dollars. This is the number of people, right? Yes, online video is way up. But look at what it represents. Online video represents a very small amount of money compared to cable and satellite. I have all of my details correct. This is the big scary. So movie theaters are dead, and traditional television, traditional broadcast television is dead at the same time. So without traditional broadcast television, traditional broadcast television, how are they going to sell movies? How when the only thing left is maybe some people talking about the next Avengers Part 7. Avengers Part 7 over there on the Disney Plus. So when traditional television is gone and the movie theaters are gone. By the way, I lived in the entire world of Video stores closing. Video stores closed. I used to love going to video stores. I did. But they closed. And we were all devastated. But, you know, we kind of weren't, because we stopped going ourselves, because we were buying them, and then we were borrowing them. Or we just kind of got over it. We kind of stopped going. And then they just slowly closed around us and closed and closed and closed. Same thing is happening with movie theaters. People aren't going. The attendance is down. A lot. And broadcast television is gone. So it's going to be all streaming, on-demand streaming services. Pay one, and all of the music sales are gone. It's all subscription services. You can buy all the music either at Amazon, Apple, or Spotify. It's the same library, basically, of music, and you just pay $5 a month. You listen to whatever you want. It's just the way it is. We got to get over, and I don't know how you sell a movie without all those ads, right? How do you build up the hype for a movie? You know, like there's going to be little pockets. There's going to be the comic book nerds over there in the corner that are going to just, as soon as they catch wind, as soon as an article is written on a website about Avengers Part 7, they're going to freak out and they're going to talk about it endlessly. But I mean, for the masses, because you can't spend $250, or I think it was $300 million to make a movie for just like a little, a couple of comic book geeks, a couple million comic book geeks. You're not going to build that hype. So traditional television is dead, movie theaters are dead, and physical media is dead. All that's left is streaming services. That's it. That's all there is. And $10 a month is nothing. You know why Disney took so long to get to streaming? Because there's no money in it. And even Netflix, even if it wins, and it might, right? You got HBO Max, and you got NBC, CBS. You got all these people that are going to be going over to the internet, and people just aren't interested. There's too much. Like me, I'm doing 14 different shows. Okay? I'm just starting. I'm just getting started. Just getting started. A couple of these, like Or Else and I'm Suing the Government, already have a couple of episodes. But I'm just getting started. I was just testing it. Here's one. Tuesday night horror movie Fanatics. Tomorrow night is going to be Eat Me, for example, and it's going to be on YouTube. So I'm just getting started. I'm literally starting my own. There are Twitch, people just sitting there chatting, watching people play video games. There are people playing video games. There's YouTube, live streams, and just videos. I mean, that is the future. That is what... Hollywood is dead. It's just the way things are. You know, somebody said recently that maybe it's just the era of telling a story in 2 hours on video. Maybe that era is dead. Maybe it's over. There are literally 1 million movies to choose from, to watch. And after you've exhausted your favorite movies of your own country, then you go into the lower budget ones, and then the lower budget ones, and then the lower budget ones, and then you go to another country. right? There's just so much. How many does the world? Maybe he was saying, maybe there's just too many. But as we were listening to Thoughty 2 explaining why music is declining, there's lots of reasons for the decline. Traditional broadcast television? Well, why would anybody watch that when there's so much stuff that's on demand? Well, you can turn it into on demand, but there's so many commercials. Why do I want to pay $100 a month for freaking television? Well, because I got money to burn. Okay, if you got money to burn, fine. But really? And now with no sports, isn't that going to kill broadcast television even faster? It's just a fact. And the quality is down in the toilet. It just is. Anyway, I want to get back to horrors. So I'm going to skip over that. But trust me, I have all the facts to back me up. I don't just say things. If you want to talk about debate, we can have them. We can talk about Alien versus Aliens. Which one is better? That's a good debate. Star Wars versus Empire Strikes Back. Which one is better? That's a good debate. There's a lot of chocolate ice cream or strawberry ice cream. That's a good debate. That is subjective. Pizza or hamburgers. That's a debate. McDonald's or Burger King. That's a good debate. That's subjective. And there is subjectivity involved in this type of art. But to say that it's not on the decline, oh my lord. There's no masterpieces. There's no, chomping at the bit. All of the franchises are in the toilet. All of them. The only one that's not in the toilet yet is the MCU, which I have a feeling it will be real soon. All the movies that Fox was in production with, when they sold to Disney, they were all shit. They're all garbage. All trash. And they knew it. And they probably saw it. And they were like, oh, fuck. We're done here, eh? I don't know. This whole machine, this whole industry is gone tits up. There's something wrong. And it's the machine called Hollywood. It's broken. Now, you can still make a good movie. And we're going to do it. You and I. And I do mean you. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. We're going to make this movie. Together. Here on this website. Week by week, step by step, baby step by baby step. And it's a horror movie, but it's one that people can get kind of behind because it's it's a familiar thing. And we're going to do it. We're still going to make it. And I love the independent. I just posted, It's Me, Billy. So here's a guy on the internet. His name is Dave McCrae. Watch. Here, let's watch it.
Little baby bunting, Daddy's gone hunting. Fetch a little rabbit skin, wrap his baby head in it.
So there you go. This is a Joe Schmo, a little guy, little guy, who is making a film. And what did I write about it? I was like, this trailer actually gave me goosebumps. And then I linked to his fundraising campaign, which is, it has raised $24,000, 40% there out of 60,000. Right? And I don't write a lot. I talk mostly. But I've been a fan of Dave McRae. He doesn't like me, but most people don't. You see how I talk? It's an acquired taste, I guess, or whatever. I talk really harshly, and it turns a lot of people off. But whatever. I'm gonna be me, and if you don't like it, then that's okay. I understand. But I'm still going to be me. And, okay, the filmmaker, and this I promise you, he's a true fan of Black Christmas, unlike those idiots involved in the 2019 remake. So, yeah, like, I'm happy that film is going to continue. And it's going to continue. It's always going to be there. A 2-hour format to tell a story is a pretty good, interesting, quality thing to do. Like, I think it's going to exist. I just think that Hollywood is broken. And maybe it just got too big, and it's just too big for itself. And it needs to get smaller or something. Like, I'm making a movie, this guy's making a movie. There's people in their backyards that are making movies all over the place. Hollywood is just the cream of the crop. It's just the highest paid, right? I don't know about the cream of the crop, but it's the highest paid anyway. In the making music, making television, and making movies. They're just the highest paid. And I think that it's just broken. I think there's too much nepotism. There's too many green screens. There's too much politics. There's a lot of things wrong with Hollywood. And maybe the format of going to a movie theater and lining up a bunch of programs called a television network is outdated, and that needs to go. You know? YouTube is the future. Independent little tiny projects, finding your little niche in the corner of the internet. You know? Nothing wrong with liking film. And like I said, there's a lot of people that just like everything. It's like me and hamburgers. I just like them all. But when somebody asks my opinion about a hamburger, I'm going to have to tell them, well, I'm biased. It's just like horror. This is why us horror people stick together. Right? It's because we overrate them. We like them too much. We have a different idea of what a horror movie is. So, and what we like, and like this brutality and the old grindhouse stuff or whatever, right? Different types of horror. It's different for everyone. And we just approach it from a different angle. And I think maybe you approach film at a different angle. And it's one that you just have to let others know that you're biased. You just seem to like all the movies. And I don't know. I don't know what else to say other than all of the stats are, say the same thing. It's not going to go away. It's not going to disappear. But anyway, let's get back to James Rolfe and his classic horror stuff. Which, by the way, I'm not a big fan of this classic stuff. I think I already told you that. This classic stuff, I kind of stick my nose up at it. I'm like, ugh, it's black and white, it's old, and, it's just kind of... But when I watch it, I do enjoy it a hell of a lot more than the crap that we see these days. And I'm not saying it has gone to zero. It certainly has not gone to zero. The quality of music, television, and movies. It's not at zero, but there's a noticeable decline. An obvious decline. They're not making any masterpieces anymore. They're not making any classics anymore. Movies that will live on and on and on. Like, how many times are you going to be able to watch Avengers Endgame?
40s were the golden age of grade A chillers, but the 50s were more about the atomic age. Giant tarantulas, alien invaders, and science experiments gone completely wrong. There were all kinds of B movies, but not really any genuine horror films. Even the William Castle flicks were kind of tongue-in-cheek. They were just fun. This is where Hammer Films came into play. Hammer was a studio in England who were responsible for putting the horror back into horror. They remade all the classics.
And by the way, when it comes time to this Hollywood stuff, I've been studying it for a very long time, and I have all of the data. Maybe, sometimes I get it, I don't want to explain it all over again, and I feel I sound like impatient or something. But I have all the data, I have all of the information, I have all, everything is even bookmarked, as you can see. So I just have all that stuff at my fingertips, and I don't mind going over it again. But I've gone over it many times. It's over. And I don't know if streaming services are going to be the thing or what. I don't know. Maybe it's completely over. Storytelling in video form like this is over, and it's all just video games and YouTube now. I don't know.
Classics like Dracula, Frankenstein, and The Mummy. But now there was color, there was blood, and there was cleavage. By today's standards, it's pretty tame, but back then, it was hardcore. What really put them on the map and made a star out of Christopher Lee was their Dracula series. Horror of Dracula, Dracula Prince of Darkness, Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, Taste the Blood of Dracula, Scars of Dracula, Dracula AD 1972, and The Satanic Rites of Dracula. These movies earned Christopher Lee the reputation as being the second best Dracula. Lugosi set the image and the voice, but Lee, he was badass. Look at that face. Try to stab him with a wooden stake, he'll just throw that shit right back at you. And as usual, Dracula sure knows how to get the ladies. Dracula's a pimp. How many ways can a vampire die? Well, if you watch all these movies, you'll find out.
Okay, that's something that drives me crazy about vampires. Okay, I swear to fucking God, vampires just, oh my God. Oh my God. Vampires, they're immortal. Except for wooden stakes and sunlight and garlic And you know, like how many ways is there to kill a 400 ways to kill a vampire. This will be funny. Wait. Wait. Okay. I don't know what that is. Just give me a list. Oh, holy water. Anyway, there's a huge long list of ways to kill a vampire. Somebody went through them, and it was really funny. Oh yeah, they're immortal, except for this, and 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 this. They just went through, like, dozens of ways to kill a vampire. So it's like, they're not immortal fucking at all. Like, all you have to do is, like, hit them with a little bit of sunlight, and then they're dead. I mean, one of the most common things there is.
Get sunburned, drowned, stabbed, electrocuted, damn. Dracula gets all fucked up. Parallel to the Dracula series was Hammer's Frankenstein series. Unlike the ones from Universal, which followed the monster as a central character, these ones follow Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who creates a different monster.
You know what that reminded me of? Oh, God. That reminds me of that scene in the sequel to frickin' Silence of the Lambs. I forget what they call it. I think they just called it Hannibal. That spot where what's-his-face had his head, the top of his head cut off, and Hannibal was cutting out his brain and then frying it and eating it. It looks so terrible. The CGI, the effects on that look so incredibly bad, but it was still pretty disturbing and fucking gross. But it was so bad. It was just such a disappointing follow-up to that movie, but whatever.
Follow Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who creates a different monster in each movie. The Doctor's played by Peter Cushing, possibly the best ever. Usually Dr. Frankenstein's depicted as being guilty for his creation, an accident, but here, he's just one malicious bastard. All he cares about is his work, and he doesn't give a shit who he's got to kill. Not only is he a mad doctor and a murderer, he's a rapist too. I like the old-fashioned look of his laboratory and just the sense of the crude science that's going on. If you're looking to find them, the films are The Curse of Frankenstein, Revenge of Frankenstein, Evil of Frankenstein, Frankenstein Created Woman, Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed, and Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. The monster in the final film was played by Dave Prowse, who looks like a bald gorilla. Dave Prowse, of course, would later be cast as Darth Vader, alongside once again Peter Cushing. How ironic. But then, what do you get when you take Count Dracula and give him a lightsaber? You get Count Dooku. Somebody was a fan, and I don't blame him, because these movies are awesome. The 1960s were the age of elaborate gothic thrillers. One man who actually...
You know, see, I think Star Wars is the best example of the decline of Hollywood. Star Wars, the first movie, was the biggest thing ever to hit anything. And the most recent one, I think it hit, what was it? number 7 or something. I found Jesus. Look. We're gonna every Sunday morning we're gonna have some Bible study. Every Sunday morning. Coming soon. Coming soon. I'm getting the live streams all set up first. And then I'm going to be starting to do the individual episodes, probably starting next week. So, yeah, I already found Jesus. Hallelujah.
Made the transition is Roger Corman. He started off making low-budget B-movies in the 50s and early 60s, more than you can possibly count. Then he got his big break and started making bigger-scale horror films based on the tales of Edgar Allan Poe. To this day, Roger Corman has made 100 billion movies. Well, maybe not that much, but a lot. Today, we're not going to talk about any one specific film, but a general impression of his Poe series that ran through the 60s. Bringing the writings of Poe to the big screen has never been done perfectly because it's hard to do justice to his work, and this wasn't the first time it's been attempted. In the 1930s, Universal Studios made The Black Cat and The Raven, both starring Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. This was the first time the two actors were paired together. While these were great flicks...
Now, I've never seen any of these movies because, like I said, I've always had my nose stuck up for the old classic black and whites, but I've been kind of finding them again over here on a YouTube channel. You know, it helps to watch those movies when you have a horror host. A horror host. Which I guess, you know, is kind of like a watch party. You know, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, you know, Joe Bob Briggs. But here are some good horror hosts. On YouTube, free on YouTube. You can watch the movie, and then they cut it up with some talk in between. What is it? I don't even know if I spelled that right. Lady Frankenstein. Again. Jesse James meets Frankenstein's daughter. I guess those are the only ones so far. But, I mean, there you go. Watch Lady Frankenstein or Lady Frankenstein. 2 different guests, 2 different times, I guess. 4 months ago and then 2 years ago. They've rewatched it. And then Jesse James meets Frankenstein's daughter. This is a good channel to watch some of these old classics. See, it's the whole movie. If it's long like this, it's the whole movie. Oh, this one might not be the whole movie. But whatever, you can watch that one. It's just fun. Fun watching a class. So what I do, I just pick one and then I watch it. This is how I'm watching my classic stuff. I just click on, you know, I just look through and then I click on one. I watched Island of Lost Souls here on channel with some viewers, except for I was over on Twitch, but I'm not doing that anymore. I'm over here. Now,
with top-notch performances and suspenseful plots of rivalry and revenge, they had little to do with the stories of Poe. Besides, adapting a short story or poem into a feature film isn't easy. So the Roger Corman films did a good job retaining Poe's original ideas, but also had the flexibility to invent. They more or less paid tribute to Poe rather than being literal screen translations. They might have been a little weak on plot, but they made up for it and excelled in creating atmosphere, a sense of humor, and bringing together a brilliant cast. Vincent Price was the recurring star to lead the whole franchise. Then we would have two classic horror stars nearing the end of their career, Boris Karloff and Peter Lorre. Then, before he was a big star, there was Jack Nicholson. This wasn't the first time Nicholson made an appearance in a Roger Corman film. Earlier, he played a part in Little Shop of Horrors. This ensemble of big names brought together in the Roger Corman Poe series definitely makes it one of the important eras in our history of thriller films. Most of the movies we've talked about are supernatural, monsters, vampires, werewolves, things that can't happen in real life. But Psycho deals with the beast that lies within the mind. I don't think it comes as any surprise that the star, Janet Leigh, is murdered early in the film. The shower scene, as it's always called, is one of the most famous movie moments and has been imitated and parodied countless times. It was shocking and innovative for its violence, yes, for its tight editing, yes, for being called the first slasher film, yes, but the reason being is that nobody expected this to happen. Before 1960, you don't kill the main character in the beginning of the movie. Director Alfred Hitchcock had some balls, and he stood firm and did not let theaters allow entry to the movie after it started because he didn't want people showing up late wondering where Janet Leigh was. Hitchcock was already established as the master of suspense and one of the greatest directors of all time. His movies are...
That's more of a gimmick, though. Don't show up late to Psycho. Because, honestly, Janet Leigh didn't die in the movie for quite a while. It was just a gimmick. They were playing. It was just a sales marketing gimmick.
Full of unique twists, psychological storylines which reflect his own personal fears, and a subtle, dark blend of humor. To describe the ingenuity of Psycho as a whole, I would have to reveal the whole plot, and that I'm not going to do, because if you haven't seen this movie, you should check it out. Halfway through our history of horror films, and the movie of the day is Night of the Living Dead. Ironically, I always think of this as the middle ground of the horror movie timeline. It was the first to depict gruesome acts of violence, such as zombies getting stabbed, flesh getting eaten, and guts all over. But it's shot in black and white, even though color was available, so it's kind of like a crossover between classic chillers and modern splatter flicks. It's a little tame for today's standards, but back then, it was definitely a turning point in horror history and movies in general. A month after Night of the Living Dead's premiere, the American rating system came into effect. Whether or not it had anything to do with it, it was the first and last horror movie of its kind to receive an attendance of pre-teens and adolescents without restriction, and nobody knew what hit them. The film was also innovative for its casting decisions. Back then, a black man in a starring role was actually unheard of. So here's a movie that finally decided to...
See, I hate it when people say things about race. Unheard of, huh? This is where I just hate it when people say things off the cuff, whether it's true or not. So here is a black man in all the 30s, which is basically at the beginning of film. So I get it. You love the movie, and you want to think that, oh, a black man starring in this movie is such a big deal, but it wasn't. I hate it. Everybody thinks that they're first. It's because it's the first movie you ever saw starring a black person. Doesn't mean that that's the way it was. For God's sakes. I know you want to be the first. Everybody wants to be the first. Oh, we're the first, you know, woman this. We're the first black that. Oh, God, shut up. You're not the first at anything. It's just, you're just being dumb. God, there was a black woman starring in her own television show before there was television. I mean, before most people even had a TV, a black woman had her own TV show. Only the rich and famous had TVs at that time.
To break down the boundaries. It was also one of the first independent films to gain worldwide popularity. The appeal of this movie is in its cheap, low-budget, and realistic setting. The black and white shitty look just adds to the flavor, and the title is one of the best titles ever, Night of the Living Dead. Living contradicts being dead, but it also just has this creepy ring to it, and it ushered in countless titles beginning with Night of or ending in Dead. It also has one of the best opening scenes of all time. Any other horror movie back then would have probably spent the first act explaining why the dead are rising and set it all up, but this movie just hits you right off the bat. The way the film plays is that everyone is trapped inside this one house trying to stay safe from the zombies outside. If they can learn to work together, they might make it out alive, but they can't stop arguing. It's an interesting study of human behavior and survival instincts. What it comes down to is that everyone is for themselves. Director George Romero had made a movie that no one else dared to make, and unknowingly, he created one of the biggest subgenres in horror films, the zombie flick. I'm not going to give away the ending, but what I will say is that it has balls. Romero actually had an opportunity to sell his film to a major studio, but they wanted him to change the ending and add a love story subplot. He said no. He's always stayed away from the mainstream because he's a true filmmaker and he has balls. And balls are what this genre is all about. So where'd we leave off? I think I was saying that horror movies have a lot of balls. Well, this one is pure balls to the wall, vomit-inducing, screaming, bloody horror. By all definition of the word horror, this is a horror movie. But for a genre that doesn't always get a...
So, the number one horror movie of all time is actually Jaws. And number two is Exorcist. In my opinion, though, Jaws is only borderline horror. Like, do I put it in the horror genre? Yes. But it's kind of like Godzilla. Is Godzilla in horror? Not really, but some people put it there. But there's no doubt that The Exorcist is horror. No doubt in my mind, anyway. So, in a way, this is the most successful horror movie of all time. And it's beautiful. It's a 5 out of 5 for sure from me. And so is Jaws, but it's only borderline horror. I've tried to figure out and discuss what is horror and what is not horror before, and it's hard. It's just, you know it when you see it. It's gotta be scary, basically. I know that sounds stupid, but it's gotta be scary. And Jaws is more action. So it's like the difference between Alien and Aliens.
A lot of respect. This one is always considered a film legend. It won some Oscars and Golden Globes and all that shit, and it's always referred to as the scariest movie ever made. You may or may not agree, but back in 1973, there was no comparison. Now that's some freaky deaky shit. The special effects are a real show stealer, and I can't show you the best of it. One reason is that it gets so graphic that I might be crossing the line, and I also feel that I'd be doing an injustice to the film by spoiling it. Today, the breath, that fog you see, it would have been CG, but that room was really that cold. My favorite scene is actually the opening. It has such an eerie...
It's true. The entire opening to this film, filmed in Iraq, is a masterpiece. And oh my god, at first you're like, the fuck am I watching? thought I was watching a horror movie. But that whole, every shot in that opening Iraq scene, oh my God, it's just amazing. That is brilliant filmmaking. It just doesn't, they don't make them like they used to. I have seen, there's a guy named Rob Egger who went through the entire first, this opening act, opening sequences to Exorcist, and he went detail by detail, and it was just a beautiful breakdown of why this is so fucking amazing. It just absolutely is. This is like a thing of beauty, an absolute thing of beauty.
Mood, you can tell some bad stuff is going to happen. The movie does a great job at grossing out and shocking its audience, but how it affects you on a deeper level is a personal experience. The question is, do you believe in the devil? Well, anyway, it might not be the scariest movie of all time, but it's still pretty damn scary, and when you see that face coming into your dreams, you'll know what I'm talking about. During the 1970s, there were a lot of low-budget exploitation.
Those two movies, I Spit on Your Grave and Last House on the Left, I saw them, and I don't like rape. Oh, imagine that. No, I don't even want it in my movies. I don't want sex. You know, like when the teenagers are fucking and then they get macheted, you know, by Jason. That is different. But this type of sex involved in a horror movie, I don't know, it just makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't like it. I saw them, but I don't like them. Last House on the Left and I Spit on Your Grave. Yeah, not really for me. Rape, revenge, rape. I don't know. It just freaks me out.
Movies being made. An exploitation movie is defined as a movie that doesn't aim for quality, but rather using main selling points such as sex and violence. Movies like these were usually shown late at night and as double features in what they call grindhouse theaters. And now we come to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a true horror movie in terms of the word horror. One thing that this movie is not is a gore fest. Despite its title, there aren't many chainsaw deaths and not as much blood as you'd expect. The reason why it's so effective at terrifying its audience is due to many things. One, it has a realistic look where being outdated actually helps. In American Movie, Mark Borchardt says that it reminds you of something you see in science class, and I think I know what he means. It has this old grainy look. The camera work's really raw, it almost has a documentary feel, and it begins with the text and stock-sounding narrator, which sets you in the right...
Now, are you still interested in watching this movie tonight? Because I think it's starting to get a little bit dark where I am. So if you're still interested in watching this movie, then we will.
Right mood that what you're watching is a true story. In reality, it was only loosely based on serial killer Ed Gein, the same guy Psycho was based on. Another thing that makes the movie so effective is its location, a deserted area of Texas. It creates a scary atmosphere where nobody can help you and you can't trust anybody you meet. A group of friends arrive during a road trip. They pick up a hitchhiker, which is always a big mistake. Then they go check out an old farmhouse, which is an even bigger mistake. The conventions may seem pretty cliche now, but the pacing here really works. Watching the movie from beginning to end is like having a nightmare. The tension just builds and builds, and the last chase scene is just incredible. This isn't about vampires or zombies or the devil, it's about real psychopaths. What makes this movie so scary is not about whether or not it really happened, it's that it could happen. We're taking a look at the terrors from the sea. The monster, of course, is a killer shark, one that made people afraid to go in the ocean. What really makes it scary is that you don't see the shark a whole lot, but you feel its presence whenever that creepy John Williams music starts playing. It does a good job building tension and it lets you know that the shark is near, but then there's times when the music isn't playing, when you're not supposed to know. It scares the shit out of you. So the movie succeeds in both suspense and shocks. The setting itself is terrifying, being in the middle of the ocean where nobody can help you, not knowing when the shark's gonna come. The first half of the movie is just a setup to when they're hunting the shark. shark. Once they get on that boat, the movie officially begins, and from there, the tension just accelerates to a thrilling climax. Jaws was the first movie to make over $100 million US, which started the notion of the summer blockbusters, and it launched the career of Steven Spielberg, but that's not why we care about it. We care because it kicks some serious ass. We're in the late 70s now in our history of horrors. The box office is dominated by all the new blockbusters, movies like Jaws and Star Wars. Big movies like these were all the craze. But here comes along Halloween, independent, super low budget, but nobody would expect it to become one of the most successful independent films of all time. Not only was it a smash hit, it started the slasher genre. Not that the groundwork wasn't already established, but Halloween brought the formula to the mainstream and set the rules for the genre. A slasher movie is defined as a movie with a body count, a killer who sneaks about and murders all the main characters one after another. After all the sequels, rip-offs, and the remake, many people forget what the original was like. One thing, there was no blood, or hardly any, nothing graphic. Halloween uses suspense and atmosphere as its tool. The soundtrack is one of the most recognizable and effective horror scores ever conceived. Donald Pleasance is fantastic as Dr. Loomis. Jamie Lee Curtis is also great as Laurie Strode, the Scream Queen as she's known. Her mother Janet Leigh is also famous for Psycho. But the most celebrated character in this film is the killer Michael Myers, whose face is always covered by a mask, a William Shatner mask painted white. Well, this character is so popular that he just can't be left alone. Halloween 2 killed him off, and Halloween 3 started fresh. Originally, the series was meant to be a different Halloween-themed story each time. Think about it. The title is Halloween. There's a million things that could happen on Halloween. So part 3 was a completely different subject. There's even a scene where they're watching the first Halloween as sort of a joke or a tribute. But everybody hated it. Not so much whether or not it was a good movie, but the problem was everybody was confused why Michael Myers wasn't in it. So due to the audience's demand, they brought him back for a never-ending string of sequels, and recently a remake. It all started as a little independent film, but now it's been raped into a franchise. A decade after George Romero shocked the world with Night of the Living Dead, he does it again with a color sequel which also stands on its own. The cast is new, it doesn't require seeing the first movie, the backstory is the same. There's an epidemic of zombies walking around eating people, and everybody tries to survive. A group of people hide out in a shopping mall, which is the perfect setting because all the stores offer great scenarios and comedic effect. Just the idea of having a whole mall to yourself is great fun. It's like being a kid in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. But besides all that, some interpret it as social satire, comparing mall shoppers to zombies. But it just seems they had a lot of fun making this movie, and that fun transcends onto the audience. For its time, it might have been the goriest, bloodiest film ever made, which disgusted many audiences, but those who were bold enough to sit through it could probably see the humor behind a lot of it, and how creative a lot of the special effects are. This is the early work of Tom Savini, who also acts in the film. To this day, he's one of the most famous faces in the horror business. Romero followed up with Day of the Dead in 1985 and Land of the Dead in 2005. What's interesting is that each movie really seems to represent the decade in which they were made. If you like horror movies at all, don't miss these, because these are awesome. But let's take a look back at the 50s for one brief moment. What do we usually see? Monsters that come from outer space. Either the aliens come to us, or we come to the aliens. Well, the movie Alien is basically a big-budget modern remake of a 50s B-movie. It's almost a remake of It, The Terror from Beyond Space. It involves a journey through space in which a hostile alien creature hides aboard the ship and it kills the crew one by one. Essentially, Alien is a slasher movie set in outer space. It employs all the elements of the genre. It has those moments when you know the alien is around, but you don't know when it's going to come out. Once it builds as much tension as possible, something suddenly pops up that's not the alien. It's a false climax. There's moments which you anticipate it for so long, and then when you least expect, that's when it strikes. And the last act of the film is usually spent with one character trying to escape. Just like in Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween, the last surviving character is a woman. She's the only one smart enough, brave enough, or lucky enough to put up a chase and get away, where most of the characters just get killed off. But the really cool thing, the alien plants an egg inside your body. It's a convincing concept that some kind of species would do that, and I can't think of anything more terrifying than having a living creature inside you just waiting to burst out. Another thing at work here is the setting. The whole movie takes place isolated inside this spaceship. The idea of being alone and hunted in this claustrophobic environment, it's been used in many films and video games such as Metroid. It's a scary concept, and as the tagline says, in space, no one can hear you scream. We've made it to the 80s and the slasher genre is in full motion. Friday the 13th does everything that Halloween already did. The point of view shots, the young adults being the primary victims. It's basically the same format, and people unfamiliar with the genre often confuse the two series. But one thing that Friday the 13th did was make its death scenes more memorable. That's Tom Savini's special effects again, the most famous being the arrow through Kevin Bacon. Another thing, Friday the 13th made the camp setting a very popular setting for many slasher flicks. Out in the woods, the killer could be behind any tree. The killer in the first film is not Jason Voorhees, and he never wears the famous hockey mask until part 3, but about 10 sequels later, he's one of the most famous horror movie characters to date. Jason's badass, and a lot of that is due to the stunt work of Kane Hodder. Damn, Jason gets all fucked up. Jason's been to New York City, to hell, to outer space, and he's fought Freddy Krueger. Oh, Freddy Krueger. We'll get to him next. Every kid from the 80s remembers being scared to death of Freddy Krueger. He was so terrifying and so real at the same time. Just the idea of a killer that murders people in their dreams. When are you more vulnerable than when you're asleep? If you're not familiar with the Nightmare on Elm Street series, Freddy comes into your dreams, and if you die in the dream, you die in real life. Not only does he kill people, he preys on their fear, and he enjoys it. Unlike Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees, Freddy has a face, a voice, and a witty personality. Even though the movie came out to cash in on the slasher flick franchise, it takes a completely original approach, balancing the line between horror and mild comedy. The dream concept just opened up all kinds of possibilities. Anything can happen in a dream, so each movie had fresh ideas of what Freddy could do.
Okay, if there's no objections, I'm going to dip out. It's been a long day, and I'm going to dip out here. I know I said we were going to watch a movie, but I'm just thinking about it, and I can't do it. I'm going to have to start these things later on in the day, because I just can't. I can't last that long. So, anyway, thanks for joining. And we'll see you next week. And if you need more entertainment over here on GaryProjects.com, there's a list of my entire work schedule. And yeah, enjoy. And we will see you again soon. Take care.